All right, microphone on. Hopefully you can hear me. Let's make no errors this time. Sometimes we mute the mic by mistake. Let me put a nice smiley face in the chat. Right. Uh, so the software is updated, and now I should be able to jump between videos and presentations exceptionally fast. Let's see how fast I can do it. That fast. Look at that. Yeah, they've updated the app, so now I don't have to keep messing around trying to find documents. Yeah, step by step, step by step. All right. Hello, everyone. What we're going to do, let us go through our normal spiel. So this is the Black Betterment broadcast. I'm your host, Rap Raven. This is show 22. Some people might be new, some people might be old, some people might be old and new. So what we're going to do is see what is the Black Betterment broadcast and why is it here? So let's go through the slides, shall we? Let's do that. All right. Well, everyone gets in and settles down, tells their family and friends. There's a Black Betterment broadcast, and it does exactly this. So, unfortunately, after much research, I've unfortunately concluded that currently Black people are collectively inadequate. This is something you're going to hear me say quite a lot as I move around on the shows. I do this, and this is the primal cause for me to actually try to get everyone together to work on Black Betterment. And this is the reason why. This is the prime. So collectively, a group of people seen as a whole, that's us Black people, and unfortunately lacking the quality to deal with life and insufficient for a purpose, insignificant, for a purpose. This is something that some people realize, some people don't, but if you don't, now you do. If you didn't, maybe now you will. Anyway, so we're going to talk about many issues on this show, and when we do, if we could actually practice the 4D values. I assume some of you might not have heard of it, and what that is, to make it easier for everyone else, is this. So we want discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. So we're going to use these values to try to find solutions for the many challenges that Black people face historically and today, and hopefully not in the future. All right, so let's go on. So what is Black Betterment? Black people helping Black people on Black issues for betterment. That's what this show, broadcast, stream is about. So if you didn't know, now you know. It's about Black people. Let's see if the thing can move. Look at that. Black people there helping, who's that? Black people on what? Black issues, but for what? Oh, for betterment. So we're going to try to do that. All right. So now let's go to the last slide. What is that? Okay. So technically, all Black betterment is a lifestyle. Yes. So hopefully you can help me introduce a lifestyle of betterment to Black people collectively. All right. So what is this week's show? So this week's show, we've got two topics, right? So who decides what a Black woman is? This is one topic. And then the other topic is marriage important to Black women? Just so you know, we're going 2 months. And last month, we dedicated a whole month to the Black woman. But because Black women are very special, we're going to dedicate another month. And also because there's tremendous issues that we need to go through, and, ladies first, and that's always important. So at current, what we tend to do is we ask women who might email, or they might message, or they might come live, and they have many topics that they want to cover, things that females will know more than males. I am a male host, so there's many things I will only know if you directly tell me. And of course, it's been Black Women's Month, we shall cover it. So how the format normally works is I speak for 10 minutes or so, and then I throw a link out there. And people jump in and they talk about the topic. They give their side of it. We have a back and forth, and all people are welcome. That's what we tend to do. So what I'm going to do, just to give it a nice idea, I'll throw the link in there because I'm going to speak for not too long, to be honest. But if there's any Black women out there, or just men as well, doesn't have to be Black women, but this is primarily about Black women who understand these two topics, and that two topic is marriage important for Black women. So are you a Black woman? Do you feel it's important? Do you think it's underrated, overrated, not rated, or any kind of rated? We want to know. Maybe we can break it down. This was a topic brought forward by Black women, by the way. And the next one is who decides what a Black woman is? That one, that's an interesting one. Let me see if I can find that. Where is that? Let me start with that. So I'm going to start. So I've thrown the link, guys, in the actual stream. So how this show works is we throw a link in the stream and we talk, and hopefully in the future generations to come, when they check the video, they can see a nice back and forth. So if you are here, you are contributing to people of the future time being able to actually hear a good convo. What I'm going to do now is let me find that great slide which is there and go to that second one, which is boom, boom, boom. Who decides what a black woman is? So this was told to me last week, and obviously, you know, when people say things, people can really interpret it in their own way. And obviously, I'm not in the body of a black woman, so there's a lot I might not see or understand in certain capacities. So I had to break down what this meant. And I kind of, either rightfully or wrongfully, got two kind of concepts. And one is the responsibilities of a black woman. Who decides that? That's an interesting question. And then the physical representations, like who gets to represent what a black woman is, maybe in the mainstream, maybe on TV. And, not that I want to go there. Well, I do want to go there, but there's many very, very strong topics in the black community, many, many strong topics in the black community. And one thing I don't really shy away from topics, but I do try to get the viewers and the speakers ready for certain topics that might cause some kind of thoughts and feelings. And, we're going to approach colorism and these kinds of things, because I'm aware that, within black people collectively, there has always been an issue with colorisms, and we're going to unpack that as weeks go by. But I think colorism seems to affect women slightly differently in some aspects, so their testimonies are very important. We have Gulil, I believe, is here. So I've entered the stream, brother. I'm just going to talk for a bit, and then when you want, you can jump in. Is that okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, we can hear you. Great, nice, clean microphone. I'm just going to talk for a bit, and then we can jump in. So guys know there actually is a link out there for people who want to jump in. It's always free. We've got six people come in. Right. So in regards to who decides what a black woman is, I mean, if you're a woman, you're listening, this could represent potentially like maybe some black women see black women being pushed forward in the mainstream, and they push roles, and some of the roles maybe they might be absent of a man, or they might be replacing men's role, and maybe that might be a good thing to them, or maybe some black women think, no, this is not realistic. This is not our role. I think this is a way to give us more than we should be doing. Who knows? I mean, or maybe this is what we should be doing. Some people might feel that that's who decides what a black woman is. Maybe people think that's what a black woman is, someone who carries everyone on their back. I don't know. Like, there has been some history that's been out there that you can research, where sometimes black women interact with other groups and they find themselves doing a lot, and some of them might get the least. This is something that could be discussed. We don't know. Also, physical representations. There might be some black women who feel that there isn't a great balance out there when it comes to represent black women collectively and the most unique, distinct features of black women. And sometimes historically, you might find that certain types of black women are not really represented at all. And some might feel a way about that. And that's what we should talk about. That some people might feel that, for you to qualify to be a black woman, you might have to have a certain kind of lineage or something. Who knows? These are the things that, pops in head, but only black women can explain this. So they will. So what I'm going to do, while you guys ponder on that fantastic thing there, I'm going to go on to, is marriage important to black women? Now, this is something black women will have to answer themselves. But what I've done, I've just Googled this, a few words, and I got a website which is there. And the website just said, the pros and cons of marriages. I think that's what it says. I can't remember. This is not my opinion. This is just me, throwing some things out there so it can make your mind think of certain things. But I'm sure anyone who jumps on is going to have a whole lot of good stuff to say. So let me see what I got from the internet. So this is the wrong reason to get married, apparently. So let's see if I can even see this. You feel too guilty or ashamed to back out when, played with doubt. Okay, so meaning, I assume what they mean when you're played with doubt. Perhaps the man said, will you marry me? And, it was in public, or, something like that. And you didn't really want to marry him. And that does happen. But this is what people say. You're okay. You're willing to gamble on your future spouse changing or having potential. Okay, cool. To be free from parents. Maybe you guys live with your parents, and maybe by getting married you move out. Some cultures, I don't know. Yeah, all right, straight away, of course. To have sex, I guess. Yeah, sometimes that's what it is. Some cultures, that's the easiest way to have it. apparently. Okay, to ease loneliness. This is something that people might want to talk about. Loneliness in general is a topic we should cover here on the Black Betterment Show. But yes, in marriage, you might be lonely prior getting married. To be happy. Yep. Okay. Very vague, but happiness. Yep. I see that. To show you're an adult. Okay. People feel that maybe at a certain point you do that because of a pregnancy, right? So maybe you're from a culture. You just it makes sense. Well, it probably does to have that support. That's another thing we could probably tackle as well. Just because he or she loves you. Okay, right. Yep, that's always good. To save, rescue, or help someone. Don't know what that means. I really don't know what that means. But I'm sure whoever wrote this does. Because you want a baby. Okay, do things traditional way. I agree with that. For money, that's one that we talk about a lot. So it's good it's down there. Because your friends are married. Okay, so that's kind of like your friends are doing it. I should be doing it. You always wanted a fancy wedding to wear a fancy dress. There are shows that do that. Fair enough out of fear that no one else will want to marry you. Hmm. Okay, that's one we should really think about that one. You think you're running out of time to get married, something women have expressed. To have someone to complete you, they will have to explain what that means. Okay, you're okay. Yeah, okay. Well, and it goes on. I mean, and there's a lot here, but um, yeah, it does go more. It goes on. But let us go to it actually scrolls as well, but don't worry about that. Okay, so the right reasons to get married. Okay, let's read a few of these. That was on the site. All right, you are in love with another. Okay, you're in love with another. That's quite basic. A desire to share your life with another. Okay, it's sounding more like it. To have a lifetime companion, right? Okay. Yep, you both have realistic expectations and shared goals. All right, there we go. And it goes on. So these are two things. Now, whether these, and you can read it, it's on the screen, whatever. Whether these correlate with why black women want to get married, I don't know. I don't know if a black woman wrote that. Probably not. I don't know. But only black women can say that. But ladies, while you ponder if you're going to jump in or not, we have a brother here. Gulid. I'm pronouncing that wrong. Like Gulid. My eyes is very bad at this point. You still there, brother? Hmm. Perhaps he's fixing his microphone. Yeah. So while you ponder what you're getting there, I guess I'll just I guess I'll try as best I can explain why marriage is important to black women. I think there has been some okay, big up sis. Yep, just put a smiley face in there. I believe is marriage important? I would say yes, but I guess what we are trying to do, I guess, is give family structures stability, right? Can that be achieved without marriage? I'm sure, but I think it's just a way of declaring that, isn't it? You want to be stable. You want to make sure that if something was to happen, people you care about might be covered in certain ways. This is quite beneficial. Um, One of the challenges, I guess, about marriages, and it depends, not all the same, and this might be a fact why some might not get married is actually financial. Weddings, especially some cultures, cost quite a lot of money. Some of the money it costs, the people have never actually held that much in their hand at one time, probably ever. Some of these weddings, anyway. Um, so they take time. In my research, funny enough, I was looking at some of the small islands around Africa, and I think it was the Cosmo. What was I'm bad with names now. Well, there's one of the islands. There's only like five or so. There's not that many small ones anyway. One of them had a culture, like an idea where it's called like they have like a big wedding and small wedding concept. So what they do is when they find their partners and they're happy and they want to get married, they go and they get married and it's very cheap, very quick. Of course, very splendid as well. It's all that good stuff. But I mean, the bottom line is it doesn't really have that bad of a bottom line. It's something that can be afforded by the person at the time, maybe the person's parents. It depends, right? And that's what they call the small wedding. Now, what they do is, as they have the small wedding and they remain together, they work. The husband works, or the wife works. More so, probably the husband does, and he saves every month a bit and a bit and a bit. And he could be saving for 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 years for a big wedding. So it's a culture of you get married early, you have a wedding, you should let everyone know that you're together, and then part of time goes by and you're actually saving up for a big wedding. I don't know if you've heard of that kind of concept. Is that something that if there's any people who say that one of the problems and challenges with weddings is actually it costs quite a bit of money. So could introducing that concept of having a big wedding and a small wedding be a solution if marriage is even desirable at all? You know, I see if I can find that. It was very interesting. I came across it. This was time ago, but my memory hasn't let me down. So these are one things. You know, are black women finding you know men that they feel they want to marry? That's I guess each black woman, will have their own uh, story about that. Um, is it underrated? Is it overrated? You would have to. Any ladies in the group, let me know. This is what it is. Um, so that is. I can't really go on to talk more about that. But what I can do, um, while we wait, if ever. Now, brother Guled, you're more than welcome to jump in anytime because I'm just going to start going over future kind of things and observations I've learned about the interaction of black people and partnerships and stuff because marriage is a partnership. So if you have anything you want to say, by all means, you are a guest and guests do come first. It is women before men because it's Women's Month. However, you are here with me and you, so you always have priority until another lady comes in. So by all means, if there's something you want to talk about, you can if you are still there. But there you go.
Yes,
I see.
yes.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
Everything is
So
good.
good, good, good. Now I don't know if you're aware of this week's topic, but this was chosen by a few ladies from last week, and this was their area of interest, and what they were interested in was two questions, and we shall find those two questions here. One is, who decides what a black woman is? So that was a question they had, and I've written down just underneath responsibilities and physical representation. That was just me kind of like picking out what I made from that comment, but they will definitely know what they mean, and it probably doesn't mean that at all, right? And then, is marriage important to black women? So, do you have anything around this kind of topic at all in any aspect?
Yeah, you know what you were talking about right now.
Right.
The
Okay.
small, big wedding. That was
Okay.
like we kind of have that in our culture, and
Really?
it's very cheap, as you said. But the problem is, when we live here in the West again, we came here and now everybody want to have a fancy wedding, use 300K for a party, and
Right.
like after wedding, and now it's becoming more expensive, but usually it's very very cheap, as you said, and it's much better. It's for the both families. It's much better.
Right. So that's something that I guess we might actually want to ask. Well, I don't know. Do men pay for weddings? Is it joint? Is it the man's father?
No, it's
Um,
only the man. It's only the man.
right. Okay. So women, how do you feel about that? Is that a burden the women would like to share? Would you also like to pay for a wedding? Or are you content for your husband to pay all for it? In certain dynamics, certain kind of cultures, in certain areas, uh, when you compare the income of the male and the female, can the male afford the wedding on his own? Does he want to? Is it something he feels he should be doing? I don't know. Um, so it, so you're saying that from your culture, you have this. Well, you have a concept of having a small wedding, but do you also have a concept of as time goes by, you are also funding for a bigger wedding, or is that no, not so much?
Yeah, but the most important thing is the small one, because we are. I'm from Somalia, you know,
Yes.
and we have the first one is the important one is only the immediate family, like three or five, six people. You know,
Right.
is fast, is a little bit easy feast, and then the other one can wait 1 year or 2 year because that's gonna be the big one. The first
Right.
one is the important one too. That's the contract, like when
Yes.
you sign the contract and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's the most important one. So people usually like to get that away first, and then plan on the big wedding in 6 months or 2 years ahead.
Right. So okay. So it because in I think it's the is it the Comoros Island? Am I pronouncing that right? Am I pronouncing it right? I think it's that. I have to really research that. I think they were the one who I came across with the big wedding, small wedding. But with them, I think I was reading it, and some of it might take it could take decades, like depending on how big they want to have it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yes, of course. And
wow.
also you have it depends also, because we have only for the sometimes we can have four parties, only for the ladies and the
Hmm.
aunties and the women having fun, and then you have the and another one with the young and what you call it, the young people, men and women, the young people without the elders, because sometimes you can't have fun with the elders around you. You know what I mean?
Right, I do know what you mean. So let's break it down. So you're saying that sometimes there's four parties, and what that is do you have one just for the women,
Yes.
one for what men and women,
Yes,
one
like
for both?
people who are like the friends, or
Yeah.
not
All right. Yeah, friends. Yeah.
60-year-old, your aunt and your grandmother there, not that one.
Right.
Not like we change it, but sometimes some people don't care. They have everybody there, the big one, where
Yeah.
they're going dancing and like, because you have to understand also the Somalis meet each other
Mm.
at other weddings. Someone who's gonna marry maybe in the future, they can
Oh,
meet each other there. You know what I mean?
what is that a custom? Does that happen? As in, like some people go to weddings to find a husband and wife? Is that
Yes, of course. That's where most people get to know other Somalis from their culture, and
interesting?
because we don't have too many. Because I live in Norway, in Norway we don't have that many Somalis like in London or England. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
when weddings and other type of celebrations, like when we celebrate our national what you call it,
Right.
our nationality, those type of engagements, that's when we can meet other Somalis in a different setting without jobs or running after them, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's interesting. Some people say they find their partners there we go. This Sister Kushti, women come first. We're just going to add to the stream. Welcome, Sister Kushti. How's it going? Let me find out if she's there. Just give her time to settle in. um yeah, okay, so interesting, finding a partner at a wedding.
Hi,
Hey, welcome.
thank you.
Welcome.
Bless up, everyone.
Greetings, and welcome to the broadcast. And as we know, this month is also Black Women Month. So all the questions and the topics are about what Black women want to talk about. So this particular week we have two. Uh, is marriage important to Black women? And then the other one is voila, who decides what a Black woman is? So, Sister Kushti, is there any of these you would like to tackle at all? Any of them?
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting listening to the brother talk about the Somali weddings. Sounds
Mm.
fun. 4 weddings.
Yeah,
Sounded really good. I think the wedding. I think wedding and marriage is like two separate things when I think of it. Because when you think about the wedding, you just think about the celebration and things
mm,
like that. So I think most women would want black women would be would want a wedding. Um, I think when we was kind of talking about it before, I think it was more on the fact of the, in this day and age, it'd work better with two people in this kind of economic world to work
mm,
together and build. If that makes sense.
yes.
But I do think that a wedding, the first thing you do think about in this day and age is the price
Yes.
and everything that comes with it and the celebration. I know that a lot in the African culture is about family, and a lot of people do meet their significant others in those kind of occasions. I've been
Mm.
to like a lot of Nigerian weddings, and it's very flamboyant and party orientated, and
Yes, yes.
um, so I've been to many of those, and they've always been beautiful and lovely.
Mm.
So yeah, I think, and
Let
same
me.
with the Jamaican weddings as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a cause of celebration, and it is a two families coming together. It's not just about the individuals.
Right.
There's a lot that
So
goes into that.
yeah, of course. So does size matter when it comes to weddings for you? Do you reckon that's is that something that black women need to talk about? Like, the is it the concept of marriage, or the glamorous big potential splendor spectacle that it could be? Like, before you locked in, I was talking about in some countries, one particular that I came across, they have a big wedding, small wedding, where they get married straight away, like in a registry, some kind of just friends, and then the husband saves up for all his life to then pay for a massive wedding that he probably gets, could be between 30, 40, 50, 60, or 70. um
Mm.
is that something you would entertain, or not particularly?
Not for me personally. I wouldn't want to wait that long for the big wedding. I think
Right.
it's definitely in regards to your background.
Mm,
Um, I think it's very much a cultural thing in the black
yeah.
community in regards to how the weddings go down.
Right.
Um,
So
I know.
does that mean you would want a slightly splendid wedding? Is that the standard? Like, it has to be something that isn't like quick and small, but something that more people come to, party and food, money, that kind of stuff.
I think it's a celebration.
Mm.
It's there's so much to it, and it's a memory that it is something
Yes.
you'd have to save for and do, because you're only going to do it once, right? You're supposed to only do it once. And
Right.
I know that like with my king, he'll be saving up a lot because with my culture as well, my background, half Jamaican, half Nigerian.
Mm.
So it's quite a flamboyant um, cultural, and there's a lot of cultural practices that go into that as well.
Mm.
Again, so there's a lot of things that are meaningful in that. So I definitely would want to save up and have it very cultural based and traditionally based. And it's definitely about family. So
Mm.
in that sense, I mean, when you do a wedding as well, as I said, it is a family orientated thing. So you'd have your aunties and your mum and your cousins, and they'll be all chipping in, doing the food. A lot of the women are in the kitchen doing the food a couple of days before. You're getting all the drinks in, the matching attires as well. Because we have the same colours.
Mm. Yes.
So as I said, there's a lot of culture wrapped into it, depending on where you are within our
Mm.
diaspora. As the brother said, each person has each country kind of have their own culture and traditions that ties into it. So
Mm.
for me, I would definitely have it cultural based. Um, so the wedding would be, something that, just because of my background and my culture, it is quite flamboyant. The
Mm.
clothes are flamboyant. It goes on for ages, all night. The kids are involved. It's very family orientated. You get a hall, but because so many people chip in and help out, I don't think it's necessarily about the money as such. I mean, there is
Oh,
a section where people
so that
tend
there,
to.
that there's option for that. You're saying that maybe in some cultures it isn't just on the burden of the man or the woman, or the man woman, but outside that some people contribute. Is that
Oh,
correct?
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, for example, like in the Nigerian culture,
Mm.
the man and the woman, they dance together, and then people shower them with money. So
Okay.
you'd
Well,
see
that.
that people
Okay,
come
yeah.
and they shower them with money. So it's kind of like a reimbursement of what you kind of put in. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
And that's kind of like that money's supposed to be for your future as well. And
Good.
if you've got kids and stuff, they pick it up, or your sisters and that, they pick it up, and it's then to save for your future. So as I said, there's a lot of cultural aspects towards it. You know,
Mm.
there's a lot of blessings that go into that as well.
Excellent.
So it's a memorable event. It's something. So you know, there's a lot of memorabilia that comes out of that. You know, little keepsakes and blessings, and then you get the savings at the end of it. It's really to celebrate a union and to help you build after that as well. Because as I said, it's not just a big day. It's
Mm.
about unionship of two families coming together, and that everybody around you wants you to succeed in that,
Right.
and start the building. So yeah.
So, would you say that in the money showering, not that we want to make wins about money, but would you say that in the money showering, um, the amount of money that was spent on the wedding itself, it's kind of reimbursed in that process, or is it like a random thing? It could be anywhere from £1 to reimbursement. Is that
Yeah,
so you know,
absolutely. You're definitely going to get more of a pound,
right.
because they shower you with money. So your uncles
Mm,
come, your cousins come, so they all shower you with money, and they've got like a wad of money, and they shower you with it. And then you
right.
tend to find the youngers around. They have like this. Sometimes comes like in a cloth, and they just put the money in the cloth, and that's supposed to be your savings. So traditionally, that would probably be what you'd use to put down on a house, or what you do to put down in your savings to help you prosper. So that's what I said about the whole vibe of the wedding is to build up, you know,
Yeah.
to step in to do this one will help you with the food, this one will get the drinks. You know, you
Mm,
get some money to get a hall, or you'd probably go to your local church and then you know you'd probably get a discount in that church to use that hall, and
mm,
you know someone who's going to do the DJing for you. It's about
right.
more of a celebration than the cost. The cost is really
Of course.
hard
Yes.
in that kind of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What we're trying to do is because we all understand that, you know, trying to make the wedding concept, I guess, more easier for people who might not necessarily be able to afford it, and just find out ways that other cultures, other people might get around certain things if finance is a challenge. But before you speak, Sister Kushti, we're joined by Brother MA. Brother MA, you there? See if his phone's working. Oh, I don't know. We've added Brother MA. There we go. How's it going,
Yeah,
brother?
yeah. Good evening, brother. Good
Evening.
evening.
Welcome again. It's always good to have you.
Give thanks. Give thanks. I hope
So,
everyone's
so
well.
yes. We've got two topics this today, and the one we're currently on. Well, the two are who decides what a black woman is, and I think black women are the best to ask that. But then, is marriage important to black women? That's another question we asked black women because it's their time. Big up to Coco Brownie in the group. But as a man, I guess, and a man who is married, is this? Do you want like to chime in on this particular thing? Would
Yeah,
you mind?
yeah, yeah. For real, that's kind of the reason I jumped on.
Excellent. Oh yeah.
Is marriage important to black women? Certainly important to my wife, and her family, and the culture in general. Congo, as you know, and I think the question itself is actually an interesting question to ask, because it points to two things, in my opinion. It points to either that there is there are existing cultures whereby marriage is or isn't important. I don't believe that there's any culture in majority black nations where marriage is not important.
Mm.
I don't really know that there is a place on the planet where union between man and woman is not important in that sense, regardless of subgroups and subcultures and anything like that. I think the majority of people in majority black nations are for unions of some kind in that sense. But it also points to where you find that black women are not, so where black women do not find marriage important, or they don't place any importance in marriage. We then need to investigate. I think too many people are inclined to take that present mindset or cultural condition and run with that, as opposed to investigating first. Because at the end of the day, you can investigate and then find that, okay, well, marriage isn't important, right? And we can leave it at that. But the investigation needs to be done first, right? If I'm right in saying that majority black nations tend to favor unions, if I'm right, then we need to look at those black women who don't find it important and address the disparity between the two, right? So even those black women that I have been around in my life, family, friends, although they've not, necessarily maybe spoken about marriage all the time, or they've not had that in their consciousness, I would go as far as to say that in alternative circumstances, or in a more perfect scenario, they would like to be married.
Right. Okay.
I'm speaking for family members here and friends.
Of course. Well, we're joined by Sister Tash.
Big
welcome.
up. Big up. Yeah, I'm just gonna jump in here quickly. Okay, is marriage important to black women? I think the question that everyone should ask themselves: are black people positioned or put in a position to feel like marriage is important psychologically, economically, in the West, in the UK? Because we'll start with the UK. And I would say no, due to society. I think you kind of touched on it a little bit in terms of the way we're seen, in the media, how we're portrayed. That needs to be looked into. Have we got enough of a stronger foundation in the West to suggest that marriage is important? So that's one side of it. And the second side of it, obviously, I'm going to say belief, in regards to like your principles and standards. Are our principles and standards as black people strong enough to uphold, that concept of marriage? So they're just two little areas. But the first one in particular, I think is super important, because I feel that just being a woman who is married in the UK and seeing some of my sisters that are not married, I feel that there's been more, what's the word I'm looking for? More of an opportunity to not go down that road. Whereas when I go to Gambia, even Guyana, that opportunity isn't really there. So maybe you guys can thrash out that and question why that's the case.
The opportunity. When you say opportunity, you mean, break that down. You mean opportunity in
Sorry, let me turn you up.
Finding. What do you mean?
Sorry, one moment. Hold on. Let me turn you up a little bit.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, say that again.
When you say opportunity, what do you mean? As in, like, to find the partner, or to just something else? How's you say that in Gambia the opportunity wasn't there? What do you mean?
No, the opportunity is there in Gambia. Marriage rate is divorce rate is very low.
Yes.
So it's not seen there, but I think they're allowed to have, not given, sorry, what society has given them that opportunity. They're positioned in a way that marriage is able and possible. I know the sister was talking about the financial elements of marriage. I've seen a few marriages in Gambia myself, from different religious perspectives, and everyone approaches it and finances it. Usually, the wife, the woman's side, but it's taken very seriously, and everybody positions themselves in that way. I don't know if that's the same in the UK. I don't know if we follow those same kind of stances, but even before, getting to the marriage part, does British society really shout out black marriage? Do we, as a black community, invest in that? I would say no.
That's a question. So to the panel, Tasha's answered a question, like, do we promote here, black marriage, black love? Well, let's say black marriage to be specific. And Tasha's saying no. She's saying no. Is that correct from what you guys have seen? Anyone want to chime in on that?
Yes, and I think this whole thing about promoting black love, I don't think it's got to do with the black community. I just think people in the West are just so focused on themselves that they don't promote it enough. You know what I mean? So we live in very individualistic society, so people are now promoting a specific culture or black love, and we have to come together. And you have to also know that most black people are married to each other, but they're not promoted. You know what I mean? So most people I know who are black are married to other black people. It's very few who marry outside. We're not like the Koreans or the Filipinos. Like in Norway, most white people are married to people from Thailand and Philippines and stuff like that.
Really?
Never,
Okay.
you will never see that with the black people here. Like white people marrying black people. It's very rare. You know what I mean? And I also think it's the same for England and other places. Maybe not so much in America. I don't know about there, but in England, I see a lot of black people being with black people, except for the famous people. You know, the famous people they mingle around.
Yeah, and that's definitely a topic we will tackle in the future about wealthy black people. Who did they choose to marry? But okay, so thank you there for your input, brother. Anyone want to jump in? Let's welcome Betty to the panel. Welcome, Sister Betty.
Big up, Betty.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Welcome. Yeah, so we're asking questions. You know, is marriage important to a black woman? And Sister Tass was saying that it's not really promoted that way. It's not really no, as in England.
It's not about, for me, it's not about promotion. Any black woman that doesn't want to be someone's fucking baby mother, you got to think marriage is important.
Yeah,
because the stereotype, sorry, Raven, but you know, it's after the watershed. But any black woman that has any self-respect for yourself, you ain't trying to be baby mother 20. If you come from where I come from, and most working class people do come from a similar area, most black people in Britain are working class, yeah? You don't want to be another statistic.
Right.
You want to be the black woman that's got so many kids and a man in jail or a man 6 foot under. Right. So any black woman that's got any self-respect for yourself, you be expecting that man to put a ring on it.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me just tear down the layer a bit.
I just think for myself, I think that being in a Western society and expecting them to uphold anything in regards to us is you're going to be waiting a long time. I think waiting for the West or England to uplift black marriage or anything like that it's just not going to happen. That's why I said it's a cultural base. As I kind of agree with what Betty said. Within cultural aspects, you see it mainly anyway. You see a lot of aunts and family members as you grow up expecting you to be a wife. You go to traditional weddings that do those traditional practices. As the brother said, in the West, it's very for self. I think if we're relying on British, predominantly white people to uphold a black wedding or a marriage, they're not going to be able to do it. They don't know the ins and outs of our customs, our traditions. It's about what we do within our culture. And within our culture, it is seen to be predominantly to get married. You know, I understand that as time's gone by, we've not seen that, and there's been a negative stereotype, as what Betty said. But in the grand scheme of things, yes, marriage has been a staple going back from history, and it should continue. You know, that's what should be expected. No man raises a daughter for her to be a baby. Do you know what I mean? Or just, you know, no mother installs that into their kids. They want them to be able to be looked after and married and get married.
Interesting.
And that's why I said there's a difference between, you know, the whole celebration of what it actually means, what that union means. It's a together of two families. There's a culture in that. There's a historic background to that. There's tradition to that. Hundreds of thousands of years of tradition to that. So it is a cultural thing, but in majority of cultures, yes, it is seen. Like I said, I've seen it in both the West Indies and the African culture, and marriage is a thing. You know, that is celebrated, that is looked highly upon, and should continue to be that way. But to look to the West to to celebrate that when their own culture it's a very disposable culture at the moment. Divorces have been up for how long, how many years, you know, decades at this point. And it's all about the finance and the white dress.
But also, can I just say something though? There's liberalization of laws. In the 70s, a single woman, you couldn't get a bank account, and you couldn't get a mortgage on your own. You couldn't get a house on your own. They are things by the state in the wider context in mainstream society that has facilitated the breakdown of black relationship, because you couldn't have survived in the 60s. Most Caribbean people and African people came together. You wasn't even gonna get a visa to come here, or if you came under the British Empire, you couldn't have come on your own. But now they've liberalized. Now you are, as a woman, you can get a mortgage. You can also, as a single mother, you can get a mortgage. You can also get a council house, assistance. You can't get all that if you go into the 70s. Yeah, and the 60s, you couldn't get all that. You couldn't even get the pill unless you were a married woman. But there's certain things that have happened in the society that we live at that have affected us. Because you don't really need a man right now. If you're a woman and you want to have children, you don't. If you can provide for yourself, you've got a social housing or whatever. You don't really need a man. But back in the day, wind it back in the 70s, you couldn't have done that. And another thing is, in terms of the throwaway culture, in terms of men are given, there's a difference between men and boys. You can have children now, and you don't have to pay for your children. That's why so many black children, like I said, with Caribbean people, black children in the Caribbean, black Caribbean people, 48% of them are single parents. African is 38.
Hold on, Betty. I don't know about all of the Caribbean, but I can say that Guyana, our marriage rate is fairly high.
No, I'm not talking about the Caribbean. I'm talking about the Caribbean in Britain. I'm not talking
British
about
Caribbean people.
Yeah, I'm talking about black Caribbean children in Britain, not in the Caribbean. But 48% of them are in a single parent home.
Okay. I think it's also a myth to even think that Africans are not following in that as well. The generation that's coming up, and that's a concern to me. And what you were saying, I think you were touching on feminism, giving the woman the position of the man and the woman in the home. And I think that's definitely played a part in not just black marriages, but marriages in general. But what I was trying to say earlier on, I think people have possibly missed it, was the fact that young girls running around in the UK at the moment are positioning themselves in a place when they hit 16 where they feel that they don't necessarily have to have the option of marriage. Like you said, that they can go into different, and I think the media and society has positioned them into that predicament. If you go to Gambia and you go to a village in Gambia, they're not going to have those options. It's straight into marriage. Do you see what I'm saying? Or have I missed something here? Because I think...
No, you're right. There's not an option. But it's not just to girls, because it's important to take responsibility. The boys have to take responsibility. And it's not really just boys and girls, because when you look at the teenage pregnancy rate, it's actually decreasing.
Because abortion rate has risen. So it's just been shadowed by the fact that the abortion rate is up, which is another problem.
Before you guys carry on, just to say we're at 10:48 now, so we're going to carry this topic to 11, then we'll change over because it's two topics. Also, we've got 6 maximum in here. We have Brother Kel wants to jump in. However, I would like the ladies to stay because it's ladies' night. So
I was about to say I can jump out.
No. No, the ladies, it's Black Lady Month, so I would prefer you stay on. To be fair, but unless you have somewhere to go.
I've got about 15 minutes. So.
Oh, okay. In that case, yeah, cool. Well, you can see at the end of this, marriage is a black woman's topic, then I guess. But yeah, carry on. So carry on.
Can I just say about the inherent sexism and misogyny? When you pose the question, is marriage important to black women? It's like when people say single mothers, children raised by single mothers, instead of saying, yeah, children abandoned by their fathers. The onus very often is put on women, but women cannot impose sex relations. It is a man. If I want to be with my partner, I cannot take him by force.
Yes.
It's only a man. So very often in Western society, and I notice this in Black society too, the onus is constantly put on women when it should actually be put on men.
True. Very true. So in regards to the title was picked by the ladies last week, but in this last month, all the questions will be focused on black women. So we're in Black Women's Month. Unfortunately, we're realizing that there's many things that black women will talk about, but unfortunately, maybe some platforms won't cover them. So we're allowing we're giving the opportunity for black women to pretty much have whatever topic they want. Welcome, Brother Cal. Let me just mute you just in case you might not know you're here. Gonna mute you for a minute. There you go. Fantastic. Yeah. So, like I was saying, it's giving however black women want to word things up to them. But Sister Bear, you're right. In how things are written, it can shape the mind. So, by all means, you're always welcome to introduce whichever topic you like at the end of the show for next week and so forth. But carry on.
Can I also say the fact of the matter is the misogyny and the misogyny war. The amount of articles written about single mothers, you do not hear the same fire for fathers that walk out and don't look after their children. And it is wrong. That is a difference between a man and a boy. Men in this country they're raised to be boys, not men, because they know fair well that if they walk out the door, the chances of the state finding them and being forced to pay child support is quite low. It is not like in America that if you do not pay child support, you will end up in prison and they will take your driving license from you. Men have it here easy. They raise their daughters and love their sons here, and the black community they do the same.
Can I just add something to that? I think even more importantly, they kind of promote these kind of these men that have a lot of children in the media, in the music. They're seen to be somebody that you should idolize as a young person. So it's these kind of things. I know many people talk about music being the narrative to their life, but young people are very vulnerable, and to put them in that position of where they're listening to these kind of lyrics, where black men are kind of, and black women are kind of, single parents are kind of looked down on, but black men with a lot of children are kind of looked at as something, to me, I'm not going to say this is being, sorry?
To pick up, because
I think
also.
Yeah, and I think not enough people kind of look down on that, in the black community. I think that's kind of just ignored. And
it's misogyny, the hatred of black women. There's an inherent sexism we're running through many black men in the community. Because I've heard, especially in Speaker's Corner and in other places, the amount of men that have children with many different women, and they talk like they talk like this is a good thing. And if you have children with lots of different women, the chances of you being able to provide for all those different households with all those children is quite low. And the children suffer. And some of the men that were promoting it were jailbirds. And they're like, this is a good thing. What is good to say that you had children all over the place and children that you could not look after? And then those poor women have to pick it up. You don't ask yourself when you're in jail what those women did in order to feed the picking.
But you know what? I'm not gonna. I don't think we should hold Speaker's Corner characters responsible. But I think I get what you're saying. But I think the fact that it's promoted and it's a narrative that I see time and time again in the media. The representation of the black man being somewhat, a man that can have children and not commit. I see that far too often, and I think sometimes as black people will say, well, that's the narrative of the black man, and maybe we should be aiming higher and wanting more.
I believe that is the whole purpose of Black Betterment, and also getting a clear understanding. So yes, any situation where you find that this is going on, we have to speak against them. We have to try to offer better alternatives and better ways of doing it. But you when it comes to the media, if you want to mention the media, do you see that many fully black families with a constructive man in it on shows? Should we be relying on that for our narrative? Should we do it ourselves? There was that issue with that Gravy advert where it was, I think, a dad and a daughter that caused a lot of anger, the fact that the black man was eating gravy or something like that in Sainsbury's or something. So I don't. Yeah, very good points there. Very good points, and that's why we have these shows to try to highlight these points and try to create systems and ideas to change that. That's the idea. We have five more minutes on. Is marriage important to black women? And then we'll jump on to the next topic, which I might, depending on where it goes, might be slightly more passionate. I don't know. So is there anything else who wants to add to that? Is welcome, Brother Kel. I'm sorry you came in. I don't know if you're there. If you are, welcome. Oh.
No, I'm still there. I'm just listening. I forgot that it's the Black Women's Month, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
but you'll be always welcome to chime in and add your 10 pence piece. But this is the Black Women's Month.
I'll just add 2 pence.
Go ahead.
I just think if you ask us all on the panel, do we understand the principles of African marriage? No disrespect to anyone on the panel. All I'm hearing is like ideas. We need to do this, we need to do that, but I'm not hearing a foundation. Everything in life, there's a foundation. When you, for example, the African way of marriage, you can find it in the books, but I'm not hearing the blueprint, what the women were all I'm hearing is ideas and, the black man this and the black woman's that. But how can you govern prosperity with a marriage when you don't have a blueprint? Our blueprints is the European way, isn't it? So how can we move on when we're not following the blueprint?
Well, I mean, I'll just say that because I'm a Muslim, I didn't want to impose my principles and standards on anybody here because obviously it's sensitive. I've experienced that on these YouTube streams. So my principles and standards are with the Sunnah and the Quran. So it would be different. I wanted to go down that road, but I'm not going to because obviously everybody's got their own thing. So.
But sister, even with the Islamic faith, right? Yeah. There's principles, right? But at the same time, no disrespect to you at all.
Okay.
Every nation had a principle of marriage. If you look at the enslavement of the Africans and stuff, right? We were still getting married in slavery. We were still following a principle of like the marriage. But now it's like, the black woman deserves to be married without a shadow of a doubt. But the problem is she herself doesn't have a foundation of marriage. She's not using an African way of a Pan-African Garveyism. She was using, no disrespect, like Coronation Street, EastEnders, Mags and Moons, and all these magazines, which is catered for the European woman. The European woman can afford to seek this type of ideas in marriage because the European man is backed up with economics, so she can like being single parenting and things like that, but the black woman cannot afford to. So in this situation, it makes sense to have a foundation to beat chaos.
Okay, let me just can I just quickly respond to that? Right. you know, because Betty mentioned the Caribbean earlier on, you know, we take into consideration the history, the historic damage that it did to the black man and the black woman in terms of rape and so forth, and the black ban being moved on. And I think that's kind of that's another factor to the situation in the West for British people, for British Caribbean people. I know some people may disagree with me on that and say we've come far, you know, and that doesn't exist anymore. But I think it is implemented into some of the islands in the Caribbean. It's still there. It's I'm not going to name what islands, but I think it is something we shouldn't ignore and try to tackle.
Hang
we
on,
were getting married.
Can I just get this back to the actual question? Yeah. Right. I gave you a statistic. I said 48% of Black Caribbean children in the UK are in single parents. That means over 50% of the Black Caribbean children are in homes with two parents. I then said 38% of Black African children are in single parents. Yeah. So that means the majority of Black Caribbean children and Black African children are in homes with two parents. Yeah. So when we're talking about is it important, now it doesn't actually tell you whether they're married, but they are together. So let's not pretend like it's the majority of them. It is not the majority of them. But we're talking about it's a substantial bit if you talk about between 40 to nearly 50, yeah? But it's still not the majority. So what can we do to improve that? But many Black men are raised as boys. They're not men.
Betty, you're
And
so
who's
funny.
doing that, Sister Betty? Who's
well, you know who's
raising them?
They've got parents, do they not?
I know, but who's raising them? Because here's the thing, as what that sister said a while ago, right? Enslavement, we were getting married. In the 30s, when the African Caribbeans came in England, they were married. They were all married.
Why would you even mention slavery? They were not even classed.
Yeah.
Their marriage and slavery meant nothing because your wife could have been sold and your husband could have been sold. There's no way you can use that as a good idea of a Black family when your wife could be raped and end up carrying Max's child.
But that's different, though. That's very different. So and the reason why it's different.
So why mention a Black family?
Because you cannot, because you cannot use an excuse. You cannot use an excuse because it's a single parent that we're not capable of getting married under circumstances. Yes, enslavement, we were all raped, but at the same time, the Black man and the Black woman still functioned some form of humanity of, even though we're married, but we're under oppression. But now it's like we're saying, well, we can't do marriage now because we're being slaughtered in the media and things like that. But we were getting married when the Black woman was being raped, when the Black man was being raped as well, and the children. So what was they doing different to now? They had the foundation.
Brother Cal, if that's okay. Right. Brother Cal, big up. I don't know if you heard me when I was saying it, but I was actually stressing the fact that we shouldn't be relying on the West. We're a minority in the West, and we're talking about people within here. And I did stress the fact of that there's a lot of cultural base to the way that we see marriage, and in that there is a lot of fundamentals and cultures and ways that we go about things. So I think, I don't know, you're saying that you never heard any of that, but that has been mentioned. Tash also said that when you go to certain places in Africa, just kind of shacking up, for a better word, it's just not the thing to do. You know, there is a set way of doing things. So yes, we're in the West, but as the statistics have shown that Betty's highlight, the majority of us are in two parents home. Now that's getting shorter and shorter. It's getting worrying. But what I had said is that cultural base. We do have foundations, and a lot of people are going through that method of doing it when they're doing these weddings. I think, you know, we are in the West, yes, but it's up to you as a unit to decide how your relationship, your foundation, your marriage goes. And the West shouldn't be really an excuse. If you're relying on the West to help you in a black focused, black central way of going forward, you're going to be lost anyway. Their statistics of their own marriages are just terrible anyway, and it's been like that.
So, family, like I said last week, the ladies picked 2 topics. So we're at half time now. So will it be okay to go to the next one? Would you say, is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Now, before we go there, just say that read the words and how you interpret that's fine. But let's try to express ourselves and just think of everyone while we're saying it. So the next topic was, who decides what a black woman is? I don't know what that means to you. And let me just put that quick question in there. We have a new person. Work in the Western world and does not matter race, and it does not matter race. Okay, interesting. Now, yeah. So this question, I guess ladies first as usual. Who decides? Well, it should just be ladies, to be honest. Who decides what a black woman is? What does that question mean to you? I've put some 2 notes underneath, but you can ignore that. That was me trying to break it down. But would any of the ladies like to maybe talk about who decides what black woman is? I think I wrote it down last week correctly. I don't know, I might have missed out some things, but this was asked. Like, who decides? Does this mean anything to anyone here?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. It's important that black women define themselves and look towards other women, older, to guide them, and to always remember that you are a role model for all the other younger black girls and women that are coming after you. I think right now there's generally a war on black women. They are. I see a considerable amount of black men who cry and scream that the black woman didn't do this for me, she didn't do that for me. You know, that just want a black woman to breastfeed them. You know, especially if they've, been with Becky, Karen, and Sharon, and the relationship's broken up. They come back to black women. Yeah, they do. They come back to black women and like, oh, love me, breastfeed me. Yeah, that's what they do.
Kill me. You are funny.
There's a lot of people that do that. I noticed black men that, when they break up with Karen, Sharon, and Becky, and, I think it's more to do with, I noticed black men who were abandoned by their fathers do that. I noticed that they want a woman to love them the way their mother loved them. Yeah. And they almost want black women to make everything all right. But there comes a time when a man has to be a man, and that black women can't make everything all right. And black women have their own struggles. And I noticed that they are black men that are trying to control what black women are and what they do. And also white men. There's like, for example, black woman's hair is politicized, but even her whole body is politicized. Like, for example, if you see someone like, what's that big girl, that the Trinidadian girl, Nicki Minaj with the big bottom. No one knows if it's real or not. But she gets on a bikini and then all hell breaks loose. Oh my God, she's over-sexualized and stuff like that. But a white girl does it, like Victoria's Secrets, and nobody's got shit to say. But because Nicki Minaj is a black woman, you notice the unfair criticism that she gets. You as a black woman could never do what white girls do, what a white woman gets away with. And you have to ask yourself, then the hair thing as well. When black women are accused of wanting to imitate Becky, Karen, and Sharon, yeah, even though the weaves that they get are not European hair, they're actually Asian hair. And they never mention the fact that there are black women in Africa who have straight to wavy hair too, even though they're in the minority. So it's like, if a black woman is straightening her hair, she's trying to imitate black women in Africa who have that straight hair anyway. But you're not trying to imitate European women. And it's just like so many people are so focused on trying to control black women. And some of these people that are trying to control black women, well, especially for some of the black men, they were not even loyal to the black woman. They laid up with the oppressor and made babies with her. And then when Becky left them, yeah, they come crying back to the black woman, come and make me all right. Yeah. So I think that's why I think it's so important that black women, you define yourself, because no man got on this planet without you. Yeah. And there's a war on black women. Some of these people who are attacking black women were not even loyal. They don't like black women and trying to destroy black women. And another thing is, a man can't teach a woman how to be a woman.
Peace, folks. I'm off. I just wanted to just say a quick bye, but I'm listening in.
Definitely. See you next time.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
And I see so often, like, they see so many men that claim that they can train a girl to be a woman. But the same men will tell you that a woman can't train a boy to be a man. The sexism of it.
Sister Kushti, would like to chime in. There's the last female on the actual live.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that a black woman should dictate what a black woman is and her image as well. I don't think that that's currently the case when we look at the wider society. I think that she's sexualized in a bad way. I don't think the essence of a black woman being sensual or sexual is necessarily a bad thing. The way she moves her hips and things like that is a bad thing, because, again, traditionally, it used to be a way to show fertility and a whole bunch of other things. It's just that it's been assessed within Western eyes for it to look in a certain way. And I think that is an issue. I think there is a big issue in regards to the way that the black woman is seen. I totally agree with what Betty said in regards to image. A black woman could wear exactly the same thing, but because she's more voluptuous or her body is just more attractive, it's all of a sudden it's seen down a different route, you know. And I think that that's an issue as well. I think I will say, though, that the people, that especially the black men who do tend to drag on black women about things like that, they're not necessarily black first, which is very interesting.
Yes.
Yet they wanna be the ones to talk down about black women, highlight the negativity that they see in black women. I think that that's a big problem as well. There's not enough black women talking about black women that gets aired. It's not a thing. And that's why that this question was really interesting to me, because at the moment the black woman is not decided by the black woman. It's decided by white media or the bashing of certain people within our community who could care less really about black women.
Interesting. Well, that is really interesting.
I also say as well, I think black women need to remember that, you know, when I've looked at the men in my life that I've had problems with, the majority of them were abandoned by their fathers. And I noticed that those men project a lot of the anger that they have for their mother and their father onto other black women. It's like what I've noticed with some of the black men that are not able to maintain relationships and have picking everywhere is, you know, when your father leaves you and a man and a boy doesn't have a role model, you know, he's going to get angry. And who does he get angry at? The person that stayed, which is the mother. And what you notice is those men that are not able to, you know, understand and reason and sort it out in their head, they take that on to adulthood. And it sort of creates a deep hatred of, you know, black women into adulthood, because it's very hard to be angry with your father when he's not around and you won't stand around to listen to it. And I think that's what some black women need to understand, that those, because I can only say from experience that those are the black men I know that it's very rare to meet a black man that is angry with black women, trying to control black women, that actually grew up with a black mum and dad. It's always daddy wasn't around, and it was the mum that was raising them. And I don't think the black community take the time to really think, what do you do with these boys that have been abandoned by their fathers? How do you make them men? How do you balance them out? So they don't attack black women later on in life.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I'm going to be very controversial now. So no offense to no one, but it has to be spoken with truth, right? I don't think a non-Pan-Africanist black woman or a non-Garveyite black woman can represent or even determine what a black woman is. And the reason why I'm saying this for is that when you listen to the non-Pan-Africanist Garveyite black woman, you will hear European feminism, you will hear examples and ideas that is not going to work for the black woman. You'll hear multiculturalism, you hear all these things that a Pan-Africanist black woman and Garveyite would never even say. So this is where things get tricky, is that can a coon black woman define the original woman? And the answer is no. Because when she does define a black woman and she doesn't have the principles of Pan-Africanism and Garveyism, you're going to hear white women coming out of her, as I said before. You're going to hear all these things, and that's not the black woman. Everyone knows who the black woman is. The white man knows who the black woman is. He's got it in his books. The Asian man does. They all know who the black woman is. Do you understand? But they know what the black woman's not. And they understand that the black woman who is a coon, I'm sorry to say, but it's the truth, they need her to represent because she's not going to build the black family. So I don't believe that a non-Pan-Africanist black woman should be even defining what a black woman is.
Can I ask, a couple of weeks ago, you said you were of mixed heritage, did you not?
I said I'm a mixed heritage.
Yeah. Is that of your opinion? Is that of white heritage?
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
But you are mixed heritage.
Mixed ancestry, not heritage. Ancestry, yeah.
So yeah. Are you of African? Are you of black African, or you mixed with something else? Because you said you were mixed.
I am, but I don't see what the relevance of this is.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what the relevance is. When you just called a black woman a racial epithet, do you understand how offensive the word coon is? If you claim that you're going to be building up the black woman, yeah,
right,
and you claim to be a Garveyite, yeah, and stand for Pan-Africanism, why would you use racial epithets against a black woman that you don't agree with?
Now,
can you tear down the black woman as well as build her up at the same time? Because I'm sure that word coon is a racial epithet that was created by white people in order to destroy and attack black people's self-esteem who were in captivity.
Right.
Can I answer that, Sister Betty? Can I answer that?
Yeah, dude.
No, do you want to say something? Do you want to say something, Brother Raven?
Yeah, let me quickly say this, and this is a very passionate, fruitful conversation, and we should have it. Okay. And everyone here is adults, and I'm always going to try to lend my expertise about how best to communicate when you have so much great intellectual people come from different walks of life. And one thing I have to push forward is late night language, like strong language, as well as name calling, as helpful as it might be, because of how people interpret stuff. Sometimes, many times I've observed, it allows the conversation to go away from the topic. So that's why I tend to not use it. However, people use it because there's cause behind the use, and usually some of these words mean a certain kind of thing, and sometimes it's frustration. But that's just me throwing out there. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, so Sister Betty, respectfully, right? In the beginning of my speech, I made it clear there's a difference between a Pan-Africanist black woman and Garveyite woman compared to the non-Pan-Africanist black woman and Garveyite woman. Now, the coon, unfortunately, Sister Betty, coon is meaning a black person who believes in the Europeans' fantasies. So, for example, in that, if you're a black woman and you believe in feminism, which comes from Margaret Sanger, and you believe it 100%, you're a coon. If you believe in multiculturalism and thinking that the European is going to save you out of your oppression, or the Asian man or the Middle Eastern man, you're a coon. If you believe that I as a black woman can teach the black boy without using Pan-Africanist guidelines, then you're a coon. It's simple. It's not attacking the black woman. I know what the black woman is. Everybody in the world knows who the black woman is. Do you understand? It's in history. Do you understand? So when I'm talking about the coon and that, I understand that that's not the original black. That is a black woman or a black man with a European mindset. So you'll only get offensive to the word coon if you are a coon. That's why I can say the word coon because I'm not a coon. Do you understand? And I do represent the black family. Yeah, go on,
First and
sister.
foremost, yeah, the word
Yeah.
coon was not created by black people. You have just put your own definition of the word coon, yeah? But that is not what the word coon means. The word coon was created by racist white people to dehumanize black people. It was one of the anti-black caricatures, yeah, meaning raccoon. It was dehumanizing. So you claim to be a Pan-African mindset and building up the black community, but you would use a racial insult created by white people, and then you claim that black women are acting white when you yourself are using the very word created by racist white people. The irony of what you're saying. And what I would
Okay, so
suggest to you,
yeah.
Brother Kale, especially of someone of mixed heritage, yeah,
Right.
that you do not use racial insults created by white people and then
Okay.
and claim that this person is acting white when you're the one using it. You
Okay.
will not build up black people or black women by using racial insults created by racist white folk.
Right.
Okay, Sister Betty. Right. So you've mentioned the word coon right now. When you understand the word coon, you said
No, I
raccoon,
didn't
and
mention
that.
the word coon, Kale.
Yeah,
You
I know. I know. I mentioned it,
Hold on,
sister. That's
family.
right.
Let me just
Yeah.
jump in. Let me just jump because
Okay. All right. Okay,
I'll jump
sister.
in, then you guys can finish. What it is,
Okay.
and this is very important because I have a lived experience that is consistent, and because of the lived experience that's consistent, I try to write codes of conduct that help black people navigate to solutions. So I understand there is great enjoyment about using late night language and racial repurposed epithets to describe unsynchronized black people. But what I've noticed is one of the many things that kind of it brings up a certain kind of energy that sometimes, many times I should say, takes black people away from the content, the topic, which is I don't know if my thing's showing, right, and it goes down to actually like, how people feel about words. I had a meeting the other day, and I was in a group. I'm a part of many groups where I sit on the board as I try to write codes to make people get along. And I say that when it comes to black people trying to work together, it might not actually be fun because a lot of people, they get great enjoyment from using certain type of words that they might use regularly outside of meetings and stuff. And I'm saying that from my experience, if we can try to use descriptive language, and I was actually trying to find a thing I use, and when I find it, I'll see if I can upload it just to show you. But if we could use descriptive languages over what some people might define as derogative languages, then that usually works better. So if we can like learn from this, so we all understand coon and how it might mean at certain times. And I guess what I tend to use, and this is not a replacement of words, it's more a descriptive language. I use the term unsynchronized, meaning there are people trying to go towards a certain goal, and there are some people who are unsynchronized with that. That's not bad or good. That's just a truth telling that we want to go here and you're going the different direction. So we're not in synchronization, therefore meaning you might not be able to come with us here, or you might be pulling us back because it's actually, there is no unison in how you're operating for this progressional cause. So I try to push words like that. But I understand there is much more flavor and humorism in some of these other words. But that's what my recommendation. However, you're all adults, so you can choose what you desire.
But Brother Raven, right? It is the thing, right? Now, this word coon and that, right? Oh, now, Betty, she, gave it explanation, right? You got to understand, right? You see, the Africans who were enslavement, they weren't the coons. Do you understand where I'm coming from in that?
Yeah.
They wasn't. In fact, I'd even disagree that they were enslavement in regards to going against their free will. They weren't. But the Africans of today and stuff, right? We have to label them, my brother, and they must be penalized, because if you don't categorize them, right, they will infect all of us as it is now. You see, I understand where you're coming from, like synchronizing these words and stuff, right? Because I understand we have to keep the code of conduct. But my brother, if you do not separate the Pan-Africanist Garveyites from the rest, right, it's gonna fall down. Now, Sister Betty's talking about my ancestry, right? Here's the thing: my ancestry, yeah, is all black. The only thing is that my parents, grandpa, are from different places in in that. So, for example, you've got the Middle East, and you've got Africa. Now, the Middle East and Africa, that's all one, but it's still black people. Do you understand? However, respectful to the sister and that, I'm not mixed race. I just have different tribes in me, like she does. But the problem is, brother, is that the tribalism and these things is what determines a coon, because the Europeans' biggest creation, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's the truth, is a black person who goes against the best interests of his people. If you look at the ants, Brother Raven, they don't go against each other. Do you understand? Nothing on this earth goes against each other except for us as a people. And you don't even have to pay us, man. We just do it. So what is the problem of labeling a coon black woman, a coon black man who goes against the best interests of their people? A lot of us, brother, we're sick and tired of it. We're sick and tired of the black man is sick and tired of living in the coon black man shadow, and he keeps betraying the black woman. The black woman is sick and tired of living in the coon black woman shadow when she keeps betraying. We're sick and tired of it, brother. So that's why we have to separate Pan-Africanism from the non-Pan-Africanism. We're sick and tired of it, brother. You understand?
Yeah, bro. Now, one thing, and remember, we're all adults here, and we all have our own histories, and we should do, what we feel is best constructed for what we understand. And what I'm pushing forward is the sheer existence of this conversation. And I'm not a prophet. I can't read the future. I really can't. But when I'm around black people collectively, it sometimes comes across I might be one, because things happen consistently, and I always give a solution beforehand, because I'm making my duty to analyze black people communication patterns and try to find ways of that we can interact, because we have to understand that many of us were separated, different kind of people, and grew up in different kind of areas, and we have different ideas. So one of the things we can do is try to use solution contribution language if possible. So we're more descriptive in the sense. So, between a certain circle, coon makes a whole lot of sense, and it doesn't upset anyone. But when you start coming across different kinds of people thinking, they prefer more different language. And in this particular code of conduct, there's white identified, a victim of white supremacy, and also unsynchronized with Black Betterment, or unsynchronized with Pan-Africanism. Oh, this word, so everyone listening understands, he has an idea, and this person is not in correlation with it. That's why there's confusion, rather than taking that person who's not correlating with that idea and then having a caricature about that described for them. If that makes sense. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that from observing black people historically, it has always caused confusion. Now, one other thing I like to add, I think is quite important as well, is when it comes to the warrior class, the black first, the black betterers, and these kind of people. much respect we have to give to them, and I guess, and to the most part, everyone on this panel is part of that. But the only thing we have to understand is, we are pretty much going to be around for a long part, right? But there are some really amazing, talented Black people out there who could be synchronized with what we're doing, and it's for them why we might have to sometimes change our delivery and tone. So it allows us to get to a certain kind of conclusion, and we don't necessarily isolate people before we give them the full kind of spectrum of what we're trying to do. That's just so this is something that from observation, I think will be best. But once again, you have to be our own judges, and if you feel that wouldn't work, then you must do what you feel most comfortable with. If that makes sense.
Yeah, can I just say something? Now, from what I understood of what Kale said a couple of weeks ago, he said he was mixed. Now he's claiming that he's just mixed with different African countries. So be it. But what I have noticed is a considerable amount of people who identify as Black, who have white grandmothers, white mothers, and going around using the word coon, sellout, and start going around telling Black people, who are just Black, that they're the sellout and that they're a coconut. But when you're of European and African ancestry, you are the definition of what a coconut is, because you are of European and African ancestry. So the last thing you should be doing is using the word coconut, because you cannot love the fruit and hate the root. You cannot hate being of European ancestry and then love being of African ancestry if that is what you are. And to people like me who are just of African ancestry, it seems like you're having an identity crisis. It seems farcical to me. And the very fact that many of them have to use racial insults created by white people, but claim to be promoting an African ideology and a brotherhood and a sisterhood, they clearly do not believe in it. Because if you believed in that you were your brother's keeper, you would not be using racial insults created by white people to bring down your own brother and sister. And the very fact that many of these people who claim to be of African, Pan-Africanists, speak in a European language, cannot even communicate in any indigenous African language, and then wonder why, people like me don't believe in what they're saying. Practice what you preach, to kind of say this sort of psychobabble that Kale is talking, saying of their Garveyite. Not everybody's a Garveyite, and not everyone has to be a Garveyite. Claiming it's an African mindset, but you're using racial insults created by white people. Who taught you to use the word coon?
But Sister Betty,
And
the
then
Honourable
you
Marcus
talk in a
Garvey.
European
Sorry, Sister,
language, and it's not just you. I haven't finished. And what I've noticed, because it's not just Kale's doing it, I see many of the so-called pro-Black Pan-African people doing this. You can't even speak one word in a native African language. You're not even fluent. And then you're going around telling other people, oh, that this one is a coon, that one's a coon. But you cannot speak. You're promoting, you say you're promoting Africanism, but you have to use the European language. Do you not see the irony and the hypocrisy of what you're actually preaching?
Now,
Sister Betty, that's a good point what you said there, right? Now here's the thing, right? Number one, and that I don't like going into the mixed race and the thing like that, because it creates tribalism, and I know you don't want to hear this word, but tribalism again returns back to coonism. Now, me personally, I speak my mother's native language, right? So I do know another language, yeah. However, you have to understand this is that this panel, yeah, although it's a Pan-Africanist panel in a way, but at the same time, we all speak in English. Do you understand? Now, the Honourable Marcus Garvey, he did not want to refer to us as Negroes, because the word Negro, although it means black, but it was used by the European. However, he wanted to refer to us as Africans, but because he understood the state of us, that we rather get away from being called African, and referred to names like black and Negro, he used these types of titlements in order to gather the people and make a distinction between who we are. I did not mean to offend anybody on here, but the truth must be told. I am a Garveyite. Do you understand? And the Honorable Marcus Garvey, just like the other fathers of Pan Africanism, like Bishop Henry McTurner, do you understand? Alexander Crumb, do you understand? And the rest of them, they laid down a blueprint because they understood that we've all been infected, right, with coonism. It's there in us. This is why we have panels like this when Brother Raven's talking about how a black woman is defined, what is because we have coonism in us. In order to eliminate the coonism, Sister Betty, respectfully, you must have a blueprint. Garveyism is going to eradicate all that. You see, the religion, that don't work because a racist European, a racist Middle Eastern, a racist will hide in the religion and tell people that there's no racism. But when you have a Garveyism and Pan-Africanism, they can't hide in it because you can kick them out. Do you understand? And that's what I'm saying in regards to the topic, how a black woman's defined, right? Everybody knows the black woman. She's contributed 50% of civilization. No woman can outbeat that. She's the original sex symbol. Do you understand? And the teacher of feminism. However, because she is that and powerful in her nature, right? The European man wants her to be a coon. So now you're getting these African descendant women trying to define who a woman is. And they're not even Pan-Africanized, let alone Garveyism. So that's what I was referring to. A non-Pan-Africanist black woman, a non-Garvey woman cannot define a black woman. She cannot. Do you understand? You know, you've got to understand that all of us, some of us just speak English. I don't just speak English, but I'm not going to go on the panel and start coming off with, you know, tribalism things because that's going to trigger things. But you've got to understand, Sister Bay, respectfully, and that not all of us have been raised on another language. Do you understand? And that's all I want to say.
Can I say something?
Can I make another point? This is another thing. Even the word tribalism is an offensive term created by Europeans to put the idea that Africans are not civilized, that they're simplistic. Go and look at the word tribalism and why they use the word tribalism when it comes to Africans and it comes to Native Americans. Huh? And then when it comes to white people, they will say that there were civilizations or ethnic groups. Yeah. But another thing is that I think Raven also has the same belief, and you believe that if somebody's of African and European descent, that they're black, if they identify as black. I don't believe that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see people like Obama exactly what he is, half white, half black. And I do not look for my liberation in the offspring of the oppressor's child, regardless of whether they're African or not. Because when I look at the people who are of European and African ancestry and Asiatic in North Africa, currently in Libya, they are the ones that are lynching the indigenous black inhabitants of like the Taboo and the Tuareg, yeah, as well as the African black migrants. So I may not look to the oppressor's child to liberate me or to be able to define me as a black person when you're half white. It is a joke. But I appreciate that you and Kale have a different reality and you have a different belief. But that's what I would say to you, Kale. Remember, not all of us black people believe that Obama is black. We see him for what he is. Yeah. I see mixed race people as the buffer class between black and white people who are there to create disunity. That's what I see them as. So remember that when you're speaking to other black people, not all of us black people see those people as black.
Yeah, and
that complexion. Sorry, Brother Raven. Sorry.
Let me jump in, because this isn't new in the sense of many people have different ideas of, you know, even the words to use: Negro, Black, African. You know, and sometimes that we need to be flexible in the way we communicate with each other to get to a certain point. Sister Bay has brought an idea that many people subscribe to, and they should be able to do that. And who knows, perhaps that is the actual ultimate truth. I'm more goal orientated, and if language ever confuses people, I then extend the language. So, if calling a person who like Obama black confuses or upsets people, then I'm more happy to use the term mixed black, mixed with black, to move on. Just like I'm happy to use the term black and greater black to explain the expanding black narrative. With the black Batman lifestyle pushing forward, the word black isn't actually a word that you tend to find was probably used throughout Africa and certain places where so-called black people were. It's a word that's come to describe a certain reality that certain people went through. And because of that, everyone who has been labeled black can qualify for black betterment. But black betterment is local and global. So if within whatever sector of people you're around, how you describe them, you are helping them, that's fine. As long as you do not mistreat other people, then that could be still considered black betterment, right? Nigerians can work to build up Nigerian ideas as long as they're not undermining Liberians, right? Because then that isn't betterment, that's technically war, right? So, it is very difficult to get everyone on the same page, and sometimes we have to be flexible. But while we're getting there, I would say that, like I was showing in the other slide, there we go here, because we got here by language. Some languages does trigger certain people to really define stuff and to try to review it. And that's good, because that's a good conversation, because language use should be a topic, like what language is best to use when discovering black betterment. So that's good. But once again, what I was saying, we can choose if I was incorrect, if using Uncle Tom, Coon Mammy, Sellout, Coconut, Bounty works when you're talking to a wider spectrum of black people from the diaspora and within the continent. We can ask that. And also, Sister Berry brought up another very important topic, which technically is connected to this topic, depending on how you interpret the language. Who gets to decide, is someone black, is someone mixed, is that matter? I would say that when we go down that road, we want to be very, very, very kind with how we deliver stuff, because obviously, we don't want to necessarily cause any kind of harm in our opinions, and we definitely don't do that. But yeah, it's interesting. But let's always try to keep these conversations something that we're learning from, right? Learning, and at a certain point, we actually correlate on a goal we're trying to achieve. Black people helping black people on black issues. That's the goal, right? So,
Brother Raven, right?
Mhm.
So, Brother Raven, the topic is right. How should a black woman define herself, right? Here's the thing, yeah. You see, Obama's complexion, that's not new to Earth. This is why we got to be careful, because his complexion, right, is not new. Do you understand? Not all African people, right, are dark. The Creator didn't just create them all dark. He made some of them light. Do I agree with that? The first of them were dark, of course, and I admire that and appreciate that. But you've got different shades of us in different colors. Now, if a black woman is of a lighter hue, right, and she wants to explain what it means to be a black woman, right, and she has a Pan-Africanist mindset, and God, I don't have no problem with that. If she's of a lighter hue, I don't have no problem with that. If she's of a darker hue, I have a problem, right? If she is of a dark hue and she's coming with non-Pan-Africanist Garveyite foundation, I have a problem if she's light.
Yeah.
You understand where I'm coming from in that? But not all of us are dark.
Let me explain. I can't speak for Betty, but there's certain kind of waves of ideas that's coming out, and we have to address them on Black Batman. And one of them is, and this is a very important topic. There has been a history when we. I think I can't speak for Sister Betty, but there are people who make distinctions between light-skinned black people and then a light-skinned mixed black person who has a direct European father or mother. And there's in historical times, everyone was lumped in the same boat, so there was correlation there. Some people take issue with that. From my research, the reason why some of those issues come about, and some people can correct me, is when it comes to defining who people are and their needs, because there has always been favoritism, and when you look at the favoritism, you tend to find that a person who's close to Europeanness in some dynamic seems to be favored, and the dynamic that's pushed forward here is having a parent who's European, or non-black, or whatever it might be. Sometimes, in some people, that becomes a factor to try to define a clear distinction between those two realities, because there has been pain from the past of that kind of interaction. This is from my research, but once again, Sister Bay can explain her own logics and stuff, and so can you. But this is what it is. I'm very clear for Black Betterment. If you're a mixed black, you're welcome to participate in the Betterment. We can use certain languages. So if you can't call them black, you can say identifiable black ancestry, or black lineage or African lineage. I don't think this is colorism. I think this is more so close connections to non-black genetics, as in, like, someone has a mother or a father, and that is the fear that historically there was such thing as like buffer classes that Sister Betty ran, and also in the Arab culture as well, like by inheriting, by being the son of Arab a black slave and an Arab master, so-called master, they then could get freedom by being the son. So therefore, there was no point identifying as black, and they were Arabs, and there's a whole history of it. All I'm saying is, I would definitely, for us, not get bogged down with that and try to find solutions, but we must always try to look at the pain that causes the conversation, and that's what I try to do. And for my research, when there's pain, I try to expand the pain and find solutions. So that's why when I'm talking who defines what a black woman is, I want the essence epitome standard black woman to tell me her experience, for us to correlate, to make sure that they get the best experience from the collective we can do, and that is in representation. So that's just me speaking. But go ahead, jump
Well,
in.
brother Raven, right? If the black woman, go on, sister, go on, sister.
Can I just explain my position? Because I think it's really important that people understand the position I come from. Me and Raven are not on the same page on this, yeah? When I come for black people. If your grandma's white, if your great grandma's white, your mom is white, yeah? I didn't come for you. You mixed. I came for the black people, yeah? Now, if you're a light-skinned black person and your whole family's black, I'm here for you. But I'm not here for the children of the oppressor. Because I know what your side of your family did. And I've come across mixed race people in my lifetime. I've had a mixed race Nigerian teacher who had a white mother, and he was very disrespectful about black women and black people in general. Yeah. So I know, and I've felt what they can do. And I will never suggest to any black person that you believe that the offspring of the oppressor is going to liberate you. When you look at the record of mixed race people in South Africa and North Africa, when their white ancestors left, they are now the ones doing the oppression on the black people. But I noticed that nobody talks about this on this show. It just sort of gets ignored.
Well, Sister Betty, that's the same thing what happened with
I want to say as well is, I don't believe you can fight white supremacy without ending up fighting mixed race people like Obama. Because you can't wage war on white supremacy without waging war on white people and their offspring. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
So that's
Sister
what I'm
Betty,
here for. I'm not here for anybody that's mixed. If anything I say, because I've had this on my own channel, when I had a mixed race person say, "Well, Betty, you don't believe that I'm the oppressor," I said, "I do. As long as you are half white, you are the oppressor."
Well, Sister Betty, right?
Anything. Can you stop interrupting, please? Right?
Okay.
Because I don't really want to keep on addressing you. But what I'm saying to mixed race people, if anything I say about blackness resonates with you and uplifts you, then I'm happy. But you need to know that I'm not here for you. And your record in Africa is devastating to this very day. So if you want to get any respect from me and other black people, you deal with the devastation that mixed race people are causing black people in Africa to this very day.
Okay, Sister Bay. Yeah, and like I said, your passion is always needed here, and we need the dynamics of your passion here, and we look forward to it definitely. I would
Can I ask a question to
go
Kate?
ahead. Go ahead.
You said that only Garviates can define what is black and what is not. Everybody else is a coon, right?
Most definitely.
So you think almost anybody who doesn't follow Garvey is a coon in the world who is black or melanated?
Most definitely, and I'll explain why. Because the Honorable Marcus Garvey, right? He reinvented Pan-Africanism, right? All the other groups, no black movement group today, right, can ever compete with his blueprint or the other black movements today. It's either they use religion to try and get black people, or they will use socialism. The Honorable Marcus Garvey, right? He united over 15 million different Africans. There were Muslims, there were Christians, there were Hebrew Israelites, there were Moors, there were all, and he did that. Do you understand? If you do not follow that blueprint, what he laid down, and the three blueprint he laid down, that you need your culture, you need economics, right? He laid that down, your culture, your economics, yeah, and your politics is gonna help you to defeat white supremacy. If you do not follow that blueprint, you're a coon. Everything else does not matter. So that's where I stand on that.
So you think Nelson Mandela and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, all of them were using socialism or religion? They are coons.
Malcolm X was a Garveyite. If you read on his autobiography, the Littles were members of the Honorable Marcus Garvey's movement. They were members of the Garveyite movement, right? Nelson Mandela is my hero, but we cannot forget Winnie Mandela. I'm not going to attack Nelson Mandela. He's an ancestor. What he did was very important. However, his wife, Winnie Mandela, I will more lean towards her. Now, it's very controversial, because why I'm talking this way is the fact that we have a problem in the world. And what I've noticed with us as a people, we're very emotional when it comes to non-African people. And we're very easily manipulated by them. When religion comes in, we're very emotional and easily manipulated. When it comes to working with them, it's the same thing. Now, Garveyism will eradicate all that. Do you understand? The Honorable Marcus Garvey, right? If you look at in his time till now, the black people's progressing. Do you understand? So much that they had to invent the Great Depression. But after him and after Malcolm X and the rest of them stuff, right, we're not progressing. Look how the black woman's treated and stuff, right? Do you understand? You can go around the world, the black woman, right, is on top from since day one. But look how no one wants to marry her. The black man, right, he wants to go out of his race. When the black woman comes in many different colors, no woman can outbeat the black. But because we don't Garvey our mind up, my brother, you understand? We're going off track, and we think we can come up with
I get
useless foundations. Go on.
I get what you're saying, but I'm saying you using the language like coon. I get what you're saying, that it's the most successful and blueprint to come together than any other group that have been created for black betterment. But you are calling every other group who is not following Marcus Garvey or created a black group a coon. That's where I have a problem with it. You know what I mean?
Well, look at it carefully in that, right? Do you really need religion to unite all black people? Do you really need religion to unite all black people?
So they are coons. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because the white man does not use religion to unite Europeans. He uses right.
So you think everybody before even Marcus Garvey in ancient Africa and all of that, everybody who was using religion was a coon? That's what you all think.
But they weren't using religion, though. This is what you got to understand.
It doesn't matter whether
culture.
tribalism, religion, whatever it was. It was they were not following Marcus Garvey. Everybody is not a Marcus Garvey follower. That's what I'm saying. So everybody cannot be a coon. You are trying to say everybody has to be like me, or else everybody is a coon. That's what you are saying.
What I was saying is the Honorable Marcus Garvey reinvented Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is older than the Honorable Marcus Garvey. But the ancient Africans was not using religion to
Family.
unite each other up.
Let
Do you
me
understand?
because I come with speed con. I was like, let people roll and cook. But let me just offer some help, brother Kel. If you could explain what you mean by a coup, then that might help other people, because some people might have their own interpretation of what they feel it might actually mean.
Sell out.
Okay, Kel, what is that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Coon, what I've heard the elders, the Pan-Africanist elders in, amongst my family, as well as the ones who are known, is that a coon is a person, right? A black person, right? Who believes in the Europeans' fantasy of how black people should be in this life. Do you understand? He or she believes in his fantasy how black people should be governed in this world. So, for example, in that, right, tribalism, I don't like using the word tribalism, but unfortunately, because of the language and the limitation of the English language, the word is limited. So, for example, if you're a tribalistic person and stuff, right, then you're a coon, because tribalism was used to bring us down. This is what you got to ask yourself. Why would you be a tribalistic person when it was used to bring us down? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you be that? Do you understand? Right. So that's my go on. Yeah.
No, yeah, bro. And like I said, you have got your own experience and you do your own stuff that you know is best. What I'm saying is, by being more descriptive of what you're saying, as in a person is, unsynchronized or identified, because you mentioned that European identifier, pushing a European system more than, say, the Pan-African system. By being descriptive that way, you might find more landings in what you're trying to. Maybe I don't know. It's just, I can only tell you from my experience, but your experience might be different. But you have to go ahead.
Can I just say something in terms of I agree very much with, I'm not too sure what the brother's name was that spoke, but if you believe that somebody wants to maintain the status quo, because this is what I think you're trying to imply by using the word coconut, sellout, a coup, and all this. Say exactly that. You believe that this brother or sister would like to maintain the status quo and would like to just improve their position in the status quo. That is a better way of saying it than using racial insults created by the white people, the racist white people that you claim to be fighting. And if you continue to use those racial insults, what you will find is you will alienate the black people that you claim that you want to build a brother and sisterhood with. And that's for everybody. That when you know better, you do better.
Okay.
You don't need to use the word coup in order to describe what you're saying. You can either say what Raven said or what I said, but you can be adult and respect the other black people that you're encountering, because it's about respect. You will not uplift black people by using racist terms created by white people that were used to dehumanize those black people.
Okay, one of the beautiful thing about African culture is that one spokesperson is not enough when it comes to the message, and that's why Brother Raven's there, and that's why you're there. So if I make any form of mistake on his clarifying, I don't have a problem with my African family doing that. However, Sister Betty, you may not like what I'm gonna say, but I do not have no respect for no coon. Why would I have respect for a coon, right, who has not understood his position and that people and that? I will never have no respect for no coon. Do you understand? They could be my family members or not, because the coon, Sister Betty, I know you don't want to hear this word, they are responsible for the reason why we're in the situation we are. The black woman is in a position because of the coon. The black man's in a position because of the coon. We are in a position globally because of coonism. I have no respect for the coonism. In fact,
Brother
one
Carl,
day, right? Go on, brother Raven. Go on.
I hear what you're saying, and I completely understand the passion. What I will ask you, in that sense, is sometimes what we do is, we look at the symptoms and not the cause, and sometimes we need to realize that amongst a people group there are certain levels of social strengths and psychological strengths that come from analyzing things and being born a certain way, right? And if we talk historically, there was a time where black people were very dominated and there were systems made. uh it is very possible for people to to live in a system and see things differently because of where the angles they're at, or what they perceive to be normal. And sometimes we might need people such as yourself who have a psychological strength, who can break those kind of like bondage changes, to go out and actually preach this. But what you might find is, you might undermine yourself in a sense because you're not valuing your psychological strength. You see, when you might like undermine someone's psychological challenge, you might actually undermine your strength and realize that you've done a good thing. And the goal is to try to preach and speak in a way where people can actually connect the dots, so they too can learn from your strength. So some things you say might push them further away, regardless if it's true or not. And that's the advice I would give through the experience I've seen through working through many different kinds of black betterers and people and Pan Africans and B1s and this kind of stuff. That some of our greatest people are not actually currently synchronized with us at the moment because because they've been trained in a certain way to see green as blue and red as yellow. That when we speak, we completely confuse them. So sometimes by realigning how we communicate, we might allow them to see some of the fruits of what we're saying. But once again, my brother, you have your own experience, so you have to go with what you feel is best for yourself.
Brother Raven, you see the our enslaved ancestors, right? They weren't
Mm,
the coons. Do you
mm,
understand? They
mm.
had to be in that position, brother. You see,
Yes.
there's a difference between when you are in a position,
Mm,
right, and no help is there. Do you
mm,
understand what I'm saying? And our enslaved African ancestors, whether they were in the whole part of Africa, they're not the coons. But look at this now.
mm,
It's been removed, the shackles. Do you
mm,
understand what I'm saying? And that it's removed, brother. So if you're gonna validate and
mm,
have, like make excuses
mm.
for it's been off, the chain's been off, then brother, we're not gonna get nowhere. Because the enslaved Africans, brother, they're not the coons. The
Mm,
ones today, brother, and the ones after them, brother, they are, and they must be penalized. You see, when you look at the mafia, right?
mm.
When they go against the best interests, what happens to them? Do you
Right.
understand what I'm saying, brother? There's no penalty or punishment for what we do as a
I'm,
people.
I'm glad you said this because this actually is a topic I wanted to bring up perhaps after the Women's Month, and that is about what to do with. And I will not necessarily synchronize what you're saying in terms of how to label this, but what to do with people who are actually damaging to Black progress. And I'm starting point where I break people down into Black people down into three kind of points. You have the Black betterers, Black one, or the Black first, people who are dedicated to try to fix Black issues. Then you have Black people in general, and amongst them, there's many different types and thought patterns, and they're living their life. And from them, hopefully, we can get people synchronized to Black betterers. And then below, and remember, the blacks and the Black betterers, they're on the same level when it comes to like interactions. But if you have to have a below them, you have a pariah state where, and this is what I'm pushing forward, and I'll be trying to codify this, where some people are so destructive, and I'm trying to define with the community how we define that Black people who become this way become pariahs. No negative words, no like horrible things. They're pariahs, meaning that we can't be with them because they're causing so much pain. So, i.e., a rapist, a person who makes his living raping and is a pedophile. I'll just make it very extreme, but we know that that's a pariah. We can't synchronize and be doing any kind of work with a person who's dedicated to that, and they have to fix themselves and fix the wrongs they've done before they can even be represented as a Black person. As in, like, we don't want them to be represented. Like, we officially have cast them away as pariahs, right? So that's how I approach what you're saying. But but there for me, there has to be a very extreme way because brother, if if we were born in a certain city around a certain time around a certain TV show, there's a lot we won't get, and sometimes not everyone has the actual training to absorb information. Like it's the pillar. Once the pillar of a mind has been set, it might become very hard to actually get through to show truth, and that's a challenge we face. But the thing is, I understand patience is hard, especially when you see people suffering and you feel, why should I offer patience when we're all in a low situation? So I understand that, but this is a strategy that I push, and I see it quite successful in many areas. But once again, my brother, you have to go for your truth.
Okay, if I was lacking wisdom, right, then I apologize to the African family. Of course, wisdom is the best way, and this is the good thing with the panel. This is African unity. It's never was one spokesperson; it was the community, and that. So if I was lacking wisdom, then I apologize to the African family and the panel. However, we have to, something has to be done, man. And as I said to you, I apologize if I was lacking wisdom. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, bro. And just by doing that, you show you show the strength I was describing earlier, and it's why you're a very valuable asset to this live stream. And if more brothers could communicate in such ways like that, we would be progressing further because that's what it is. And at a certain point, we're all learning from each other, and at a certain point, it's opinions that we work towards, that we synchronize towards, and it's a learned experience. So that's why I say, but family. We are a 2-hour show, and we've had a very good time. But if you guys would like to wrap up on this typical topic, that'd be very good if that was possible. Go ahead. Final thoughts. Go ahead, Ben.
What I could say, thank you, Avery, for having me. What I would say to people is, you can't. One thing I would say, all skinfolk ain't kinfolk. You don't have to bring everybody in the black community to your line of thinking, but you also can't go around using racist epithets created by white people to bring any type of solidarity with your black brothers and sisters, whether you're doing it on blackness or whether you're doing it on Africanness. And another thing I would say from my position, because sometimes people do question me, they say, like, I'm fighting white supremacy. So I do not care about the Asians, the Chinese man, the Native American man. The system that I'm fighting is white supremacy. So when Raven said, I'm concerned with non-African heritage, it's not that. I'm concerned with white European heritage. Yeah. So because that is part of white supremacy. Yeah. So that is what I'm fighting. Yeah. But that's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Sister Bay. Always great to have you. Always good. Brother Gulid, would you like to your final thoughts, brother?
Yeah. I think it was very interesting. I kind of agree somewhat with what Kale, I think Kale, yeah, what he was saying about there are coons, in this society, for black people and stuff like that. But we have to be careful about how we apply it, But they are definitely coons, and I think we can have that discussion another time about who are coons and who are sellouts and who are doing harm and stuff like that.
Okay. And brother Cal, would you like to say your final thoughts, brother?
Yeah, united we stand, divided we fall. I appreciate the consciousness and the African family. You know what I mean? Just looking out for me, man. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, brother. And last but by no means least, Sister Krishna, you still there? You've been very quiet, very patient.
Yeah, I'm still here. I think it's interesting when the topic is who decides what a black woman is, and we've kind of gone a whole different topic on this. And just by this question, all of the stuff that kind of manifests into it. Now, I'm not saying that this wasn't a good conversation and it's a conversation that should be had, but the initial question of the black woman got lost in this. And I think this is like a typical example of what happens when we're talking about black women constantly. Like it just gets lost, the essence gets lost. It was never about the hue or anything like that. Like I've heard this topic get mentioned in different ways about what is the hue and if she's light, if she's dark. It wasn't about that. It was about the black woman and what she is. So I would just urge the family to try and stay on topic, because we will have a lot more topics leading on to whatever we want to do, but we can't let certain topics get lost, because the reason of a Black Women's Month is because a Black woman is always getting lost as a priority subject on this. And I don't think we had enough time to really delve in. I think certain points was mentioned in this, but you know, I don't the attribute to it, then it just got dived off. But I do believe that the subject of, you know, how we articulate things and what we describe as a person who's for the people and not for the people, that's all a topic that needs to be had. But again, unfortunately, the black woman topic kind of just got lost. So I just would like to kind of leave that in to making sure that the next one in our Black Women's Month, the main focus is the black woman.
Definitely. And that's what I'm trying to do, and you know, and sometimes I push certain kind of like guidelines that through observation I know allows people to stay on, you know, particular topic, because there's passions there and people have the interest, and this makes sense, right? But it's very important there's any black women out there listening. This really is your space. Like you know, you have priority here. And I am well aware of many of the challenges, you know, that you articulate. And my job is to help reform the black men who might be contributing to that, either directly or indirectly. And, you know, it is a team sport. And so you always have a place here. And if there's any topic a black women would like to go, message me here or message me directly or jump on panel, and we'll always, you know, push the topics you want to talk about. So if you ladies would like to pick a topic for next week, by all means, you can tell me now or we can tell me afterwards. If not, I'll just have to try to work out what black women want. But black women usually know what black women want more than anyone else. So it's for you who always get first dibs on that kind of stuff. If that makes sense, yeah?
Can you have a panel with just women on it?
Yes, I mean, now here's what it is. Because of the before we go, because of the nature of this show, basically, you know, I promote it, you know, on social and maybe some groups, and then, you know, we throw out a link. It's first come, first serve. Really, the nature of this show is to give people, you know, a chance to be heard. Maybe those who don't necessarily talk that much, and to have topics that don't really get covered. But I'm more than happy to have women, but I might need women to help me do this. You see?
Yeah, but you know, Raven, like a couple of weeks ago, I didn't come on because of the dialogue that I had with that Darren, and it seems like you're almost unaware of when men are abusive to women, and then women have to defend themselves. Why would they come on for that? Because Cushy wouldn't come on. When I was having that dialogue with that Darren guy, Cushy didn't want to come on. So I don't think you appreciate that if men are coming on and closing down what women are saying and insulting them, why would they come on for that? That's the whole point. You can't claim to be trying to put a platform on for women, and then you have men trying to like destroy it. Or just their presence alone can make a woman feel uncomfortable.
Very true, very true. Now, Sister Betty, the idea is to work in collaboration with everyone to find solutions. So, one thing I have noticed, and this is from my Speakers Corner days as well. Many women would approach me, and they would describe men's behaviors and what they thought the men meant. And usually there was a misunderstanding. And this is what I tried to articulate a few weeks back, that sometimes even in communication, there is confusion. Now, there are some cultural groups, they separate men from women for this purpose. I'm happy to do that in certain circumstances, by all means, to have like spaces just for women, space just for men. But ultimately, what I'm trying to do is have a way of communicating where we don't offend each other and we try to listen to each other. So what I would need from you, Sister Betty, and all the other sisters is whenever you feel a certain way, by as you have been doing, let me know. And what I'll try to do is articulate to the men, as I have this week, by like, the brother, some of the things he said today amongst certain kind of men, it will just go on unnoticed. You see, not that it's right or wrong, it's just how people operate in their spaces. Black women have done a lot for black men and black people. And unfortunately, because of the many circumstances, many black women have been left behind. So hopefully we can use this platform to hear your voice. So if anything you need me to do, I'm more than happy to work with you. But sometimes you have to let me know, Sister Bay, because the thing is, I see you as quite an elite speaker. I see you as probably one of the finest female speakers I've come across in Speaker's Corner to a high degree in certain areas, right? And because of that, when you're talking to other men, I'm unaware of when I should maybe step in because you handle yourself so well. And there's always a speaker's code that sometimes you let people cook and you let people land. So it's just trying to balance that with like, okay, we've gone off topic. One thing I do try to do is when people go off topic, remind them. But sometimes the going off topic is the passionate thing and it's necessary. So it's hard to really gauge at times, if that makes sense, Sister Bay.
Okay, I appreciate what you're saying, but when things are saying about a black woman, at the end of the day, you're not a black woman.
Hmm.
The offense that you will take will never be as great as what a woman would take.
No.
Yeah? And then the attacks that were made on me personally, I did not attack that brother. That brother came on to attack me personally. Yeah. So I feel like you're an enabling abusive man, and you don't seem to notice.
Well,
Because you see it, it's not how I see it. And surely I'm the one that's being abused. Surely my opinion should count. If you're creating a platform that is safe for women, surely a woman's opinion must hold weight.
100%. Yeah. So if you feel that you have been offended by anyone, you always let me know. And I think when there was certain words said a couple of weeks back, I did kind of, if I remember, try to set that straight about we can't be talking about people in this kind of way. I think I did, but once again, I'm not good in all things. So if I've fallen short, by all means, I will take that note and I'll try. But I definitely need to work in collaboration with yourself to let me know these things. Definitely. And by all means, by all means, any woman who's on this panel, if you are talking to any person, whether they're male or female, and you feel that it might be going left or going a certain place you're not happy, by all means say, Raven, can you handle this, and I'll jump in. It's just sometimes it's hard for me to throw a combo breaker in there because some people are very they have certain styles of speaking, certain styles of communication, which is sometimes hard to read at certain times. But if you ever need me, my name is there. Just say, Raven, I can't handle this, or can you handle this? And I will jump in, and I'll definitely try to get everyone synchronized onto an understanding of what's best for the black woman.
I would just reiterate again: if you're trying to do a topic on women, you cannot have men being abusive, trying to cut women down and stuff like that. And it's counterproductive to have these men on the panel. Yeah. If you want to have a topic where it's about black men and black women, then it makes sense to have men on the panel. But if you're having men on the panel and the topic is mainly black women, it's counterproductive, in my opinion. And it's one of the reasons why women wouldn't come on the show.
Thank you for that insight, Sister Bay. And what I was trying to do when we give the link out is obviously there's a chance that we give the link out and no one comes on. These things can happen. So, the topic's there for people to see and jump on. But black women have priority in this. So if 6 black women want to come on, then the men will have to leave. This is just something that we've pushed forward. But once again, it is trying to encourage black women that they come first. So just their presence alone will get them on the panel, and we can create a nice space for women to communicate and have their opinion where you don't necessarily have to hear from men. But that's the only thing I can really push forward. But it's a work in progress, and your opinions matter, and we're going to try to get it as perfect as possible.
Can I just say something to this? Everything is everything in the chat. Look, everything of everything. From what I know, you're a Jamaican man, and you were on another panel talking all this Pan-Africanism, Black Power. Several of your sentences have all been about Betty. I'm not a Jamaican. I don't owe my life to Jamaica. You came out of us Africans. Yeah. Anytime, everything, you want to have a conversation with me, you know where to find me. But don't try and be a man in the chat, fam. Any day you want to be a man and find your balls, bring them balls to my channel and we can debate. But while you're sitting in the chat like a coward, yeah, it tells me the man that you are.
Right. So this is about obviously.
This is the problem with many black men.
I understand.
They challenge a black woman
Right.
behind the safety of a computer screen.
Sister Betty, I would say that this is one of the challenges we have online, that there's many people who have their opinions, and this cyber and the cyber world. A lot of people are not necessarily aware of maybe your your past with certain people, the interactions, and how you guys back and forth. One thing I would say for this space is, if we're going to try to keep it as constructive as possible, and hopefully we can work with you to do that. But yeah, let us focus more so on the betterment rather than the back and forth, because I don't want to recreate what the many other channels have. There's an energy that other channels have that is very entertaining to watch, don't get me wrong, but you tend to find that it becomes more about personalities and people rather than collective topics and solutions. So if we could, that's so the only way we might do that is by kind of ignoring certain people who are not on the panel. And if people are on the panel and they're speaking in a way that is confusion and causing some kind of harm, they'll have to be removed. But like I said, the more this channel becomes more widespread, the more you're going to have people with different views who also have a history of people on the panel who might want to come in and show their opinions on certain things. So we have to work together to try to make it as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, but Raven, this is the thing, and you're talking about black betterment and black men and black women's relationships. I don't have a history with this person, except that he was in the comments insulting me obsessively for years. But I've noticed he started coming on the panels. He's never spoken to me a day in his life.
Right.
But I'm not a coward, Raven.
I hear this.
Yeah, I stand on my square.
That's right.
And that goes for Jupiter, the racist white woman that goes around telling black women to fuck off back to Nigeria. She's going to report them to immigration, even though she's married to a Nigerian with a mixed race kid, Raven.
I hear this. Now, Sister Betty, we're here for you. Sister Betty,
I was being abused, and you claim that you're there. You don't want any of this nonsense on your channel. But you didn't find it a few weeks ago.
Well, I mean, the way I'm trying to put this forward, Sister Betty, is unfortunately none of us, especially me, has prior knowledge, or it might be fast to catch certain things. But whenever something is done that might cause some kind of offense, I'm more than happy to try to create and work and repatch certain things that might have happened. In the internet world, some things become harder to manage. Obviously, like people messaging and past discussions. I would say that the majority of people don't tend to look at these kind of like discussions in the group. So when they're watching a live that's recorded, they don't necessarily. So if there is like a person who follows you around and says certain things, they're not really let's focus on that. But the information you've got is very golden. But I too have been trolled and stuff in the past, and I have ways of how I deal with it, and I can always show you how I deal with it. But
the whole thing as well. When I was having a problem with that Nigerian fuck in the park, you didn't deal with it. I wasn't happy with the way you dealt with it. You said you were going to have create a dialogue between me and this person, but I didn't think you were very good with the dialogue. I felt like you were enabling him, condoning abusive black men attacking black women.
I hear that. I think, and this is a good conversation to have because we're building something. One, as you might observe, like even with you, Sister Bay, at the moment, you have a freedom to do certain things, and all I can do is set rules and guidelines. And if you choose not to follow them, then unfortunately you might not synchronize with what we're doing, and that works for them. But when you talk about the personalities we meet in the park, One of the solutions I was trying to push forward is some people have speaking differences, and I'm very clear on this. And when a person has a speaking difference, the best solution is to not communicate at all, because they might not actually be able to connect. They become like opposite magnets. Now, this is why I push forward. But if people don't want to uphold this, I'm more than happy to sit in and mediate. But they have to follow rules. And once again, it's a passion fest at some of these things. So without rules, Sister Bay, it's like a football match. It could just turn into a rugby match overnight. So what I try to do, and that's what I'm trying to do on this panel, is have rules. And one of the things is, let's try not to be derogative. Let's try not to use derogative terms. Let's try not to name call. That's what I try to do. See, if I do that and someone doesn't correlate with it, then I can easily remove them because there's rules. But we all have to abide by those rules. So if you felt in the past that I haven't done that, by all means tell me. But a lot of these individuals that you've had one-on-ones with, who you've disagreed with, these are very passionate people who are almost rogue in their mannerisms of how they like to maneuver. So how I tell people is, do not interact with them at all in any capacity is the best solution, and it works for me quite well. I don't know what you feel about that as a solution.
What I would say respectfully is those men or boys, as I should really call them, many of them are convicted criminals who were just raised by their mothers. And I noticed, I think your approach doesn't work. I think you overestimate the effect that these abusive men have on women.
I agree.
Yeah, I think because you say speaking differences, but I'm telling you that I'm experiencing this person being abusive, and then you just bring it down to speaking differences, which just enables men that are abusive. So what I would ask you to do when you have the time is take the time to listen back to that show with me and Darren, and then look at the comments when you've got Cushy someone saying that she won't come on, and then ask yourself, because what I had to do was turn that man down.
Yes.
And I shouldn't have had to do that, because on my channel, you can't come on any live show that you've been on. You've never had anyone come on to my show and attack you personally, Raven.
Right.
I have a certain decorum that I won't have.
I hear that.
I don't think what you're professing you match, because you just let that guy do it.
Right.
Say that you're for black women, so that's why I didn't come back.
I hear that, sis.
Why should I come back to be insulted?
Well, we have to learn from these challenges, and thank you for defending me on your panels. I would say, well, like I said, I'm trying to give certain kind of ways of operating that might best correlate with what you need. So if I miss something, by all means, you can mention me by name and I can, jump in. Also, when it's a women topic focus, the women have all the rights to say, can we clear the panel of just women if we have enough women? And I'm more happy to uphold that. Like I said, we have to understand that no one here has full knowledge of everything that is correct or everything that might work. So it's a learning process. So if you tell me this how you feel, I'm more than happy to work in synchronization with you to find better ways to appease the needs of the black women. I'm more than happy there. But we have to talk. It's very important that we talk, because if we don't talk,
would you like to explain to us why you wouldn't come on when me and Darren were having that dialogue and he was going on with himself? Because I think this is what I mean by Raven. I don't think you're perspective enough to notice the men that are abusive and how it makes black women feel and how it makes those women not want to come on.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am a man in this situation, so I will need women to say that when this is said, we interpret it this way. That's how it comes down. I try to have a rule set, and I have codes of conduct of things not to do, but they break. And when they do break it, I try to jump in, but I will at times miss many things. So I need us to work as a tag team partners for you to let me know that I'm not comfortable with this. Can I jump in? And I'm more than happy to jump in to correct it if I miss it, as I might do. There's usually many things going on. If someone's speaking, I might be checking some kind of document, I might be up and down. I'm not too sure. But if I directly hear something that I think is an issue, I will jump on it. But I will miss stuff. But like I said, you have the power in these situations. If you call me, I shall try to aid and sort out the situation if I'm aware of it. It's one of the few things I can do if I'm unaware.
Koshi, can I ask you why you wouldn't come on that day?
Why I wouldn't come on?
No, not you, Raven. Kushti. Because when that guy was insulting me and I was having to defend myself, Kushi was in the chat saying she didn't want to come on.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that she say why.
Yeah, I mean, I said it on there that I did feel that he came on overly aggressive, and it was kind of deemed passionate when he spoke. I felt that it wasn't. It was aggressive. It put a lot of people off to come onto that panel at that time, and I think that's why we had to have a follow-on where. At that point, I think you had a lot of women come on, and they also, and that's what I was trying to explain to the brother. If you actually stop to listen, every woman is saying the same thing. Not everybody can be wrong, and it was a woman's panel. It was about a particular subject, and It did feel like he was kind of hard of hearing. Now, what Sister Betty's asking is why I wouldn't come on, is because I wanted to be a part of a panel and support a panel which was different to what we're seeing on YouTube. And it was kind of what was happening was portraying traits that it was the opposite. This is supposed to be a Black first platform, and I understand the whole topic was in regards to dialogue, and that's why I was trying to explain to the brother that can he not see where he's contradicting himself, as you're clearly upsetting someone and you just keep goading and goading and goading. And I just didn't want to be a part of that because we've got plenty of that. We can see that anywhere. What I'm hoping to represent on this panel is something different. But yes, I did say that I didn't want to come on because from the get-go, it was personal attacks. There was things said that wasn't said. That he said the sister said. It was always coming away from the topic. And it was just him bringing outside elements to the topic that was happening. And I wasn't the only one who said that. And I think that's why we needed that follow-on. And an array of women came on at that point and literally was saying the same thing on that. So yeah, I agree. He wasn't the best person to have on for that topic for me at the time. I understand your reasoning why you say that you put him on in regards to seeing it, because that's what I said. If you see him as a case, if you see what happened then as a case study, you can see the reason for that actual question, which was the communication and how you deal and communicate with Black women. That was a clear example of how not to do it. But no one wants to be. What Betty's saying is that she doesn't want to be the example of that. No Black woman wants to be the example of that. You said yourself that you've seen that Black women do not respond well in that kind of element. We have got loads of platforms out there already that showcase that. And I wasn't prepared to put myself in the situation to be a part of that. And unfortunately, Betty kind of just got the brunt of it because it's two separate things that we said. It's very easy to flare up, and it's quite hard to hold just to hold your tongue and to move forwardly if you feel like you're going to get attacked. It's hard to move respectfully if you feel like you're going to be attacked and you don't feel like you're getting any backing. And you'll either get a woman that won't come or shut down, or you'll get women that will fight back. And that was an example of what we kind of saw. I will say though that we do need mods. That's what I kind of said to you on the private chat. I think we do have mods because you need mods on your channel because you need to set a precedent, or what you'll get is like the strays and the wastes coming in and just aggravating, who are not really here, that like people in the comments who don't give a damn about Black first, putting in comments and just egging on situations. And I just don't want to be a part of that or see this platform turn into that.
No,
I think
no.
as well, when you said something about, Betty, certain women tend to handle themselves better, and the
Not better. I wouldn't
assumption
say
is
better. Yeah, not better. I would say I talk about communication differences, and in Speaker's Corner, Betty would match fire for fire when
I
she was.
understand that, brother, but
That's
you've got to remember,
yeah.
like in Speaker's Corner, that's that forum.
Yeah.
That maybe she wasn't expecting that kind of forum on here.
Oh no, well, and this is what I'm trying to get across to the women on the panel is understand the power set in the sense of you can always call upon me to and I think I've tried to say it a few times
You
after.
have, you have.
Like
And I'm
the thing
not
with,
gonna. I mean, Betty's gonna have a different perspective
of
on
course,
that. She was
of
the
course,
one who was going
yeah.
through it, and she did say that if she was the one who's attacked, she's gonna have a different view on it, right? But you've got to bear in mind that maybe she didn't want it to take for her to say, Raven, can you step up? And she maybe in her mind she thinks that you should have seen it with. That's why she said that. Did you not see the comments? Did you not see how I got upset? Did you not notice that I didn't come back on? So what she's saying is that there was clear points that demonstrated that she was not comfortable. And like what you said is that you perhaps never picked it up. But these are the dynamics of women and the black women that comes into the strong black women kind of thing, and all of that kind of thing, where the assumption is, well, you're kind of handling it.
It wasn't just that I wasn't comfortable. You weren't comfortable.
I said that I was uncomfortable. I made it very clear. I made it very clear in the comments, and that's what I'm saying. There was points in there that were maybe too subtle for what Raven is saying, that he didn't pick it up. He wasn't looking at the comments. He said that maybe he was looking at other things, and that's why I said maybe he needs to introduce mods. He needs to introduce mods and things like that. And I was going to talk to him when the show comes up, because there's certain persons in the comments now that I just don't feel like they need to be in there.
Yeah, but we know certain people. But can I just say that I know whether you do it intention, Raven, or not, I just feel like the thing that you're trying to create and trying to uplift black women, if you are not perceptive enough to notice that Kushti was not happy to come on and I was upset, it's counterproductive. I think your some of your behavior enables abusive black men. And what I only suggest is you take the time to look at some of the training that they do with women that have been abused by men, and how to make sure that you're not enabling it, because whenever there's someone being abused, there's someone that's enabling it. And I'm not saying that's your intention, Raven, but I think sometimes you don't understand that some of your behavior enables it, and it puts black women from coming on.
When you say behavior, I think you might mean lack of behavior. It's probably what you mean more correctly, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, I'm learning. This is this is why it's very necessary to have women here, because we do break down things very, very different in some aspects. And if I was never told, I'll never know. But what I'm trying to do as the learning process is commencing is to let black women know their power on this platform. And before we completely synchronize with better ways of working, as a black woman, you can always say to me, Raven, take over. Or Raven, I'm not comfortable. Raven, this is an issue. And I will stop and have a view of it. And also something that might work very well, and I would like ladies to try it, is if you see there is some kind of indirect gang up or something like that, talk in correlation. Women speak for each other and go, Raven, and if all three come talk together about and try to correct someone, then that's like an impulse power. So if a person is using certain stuff and one person says that might not be necessary, if three other people chime in and go, here's the reason, brother, here's the reason, sister, then they have that kind of like a kind of comfort glove, that kind of like, there's not this one person taking on everyone. Now, me personally, I'm more than happy to be one person talking about anyone, because that's just my personality. But I understand that some might not want to do that. So I would recommend that technique or talking to me to handle it. But like I said, learn experience, and this is what makes these shows fantastic, because I can assure you, one of the reasons why there is so much miscommunication is because we're not in the position to actually go to, like, the distance to actually weed out what is it that's happening, that's breaking down the conversations. Now, there's going to be a whole lot of people with their own opinions, whether it is, but we're going to go from grassroots in it. We were here from the first day, and we're trying to do something. And some people might be coming from other platforms where they have been educated that this is the way people interact, and we're going to try to change that narrative because we have a bigger goal at hand. So I'm definitely on the side of Black women when it comes to this kind of strategy. Would this be okay?
I would like to say though, I would like to say on that from my point of view, I do believe that you want what you're saying that you want. I do believe you would not put on a platform like this. I do believe that you wouldn't say certain topics that you have that is quite rare for a Black man to do and willing to get the backlash for that you have done. And I do think that the fact that the show afterwards where Black women had the opportunity. I think at one point you didn't have enough space because there was so much Black women that came on, and they each had to break down to that brother in their own way why it was disrespectful and the best way to communicate. And that was enabled to happen. But I do think that there needs to be a course where we can't just assume that you know everything or you get it. And it's great that you're open-minded enough to listen to that and that there was a dialogue. I think that, you know, we need that, but we need to set a precedent as well, because what happens is, yes, other people come in, but they bring their old habits, and then they can change this into what they're used to and just turn it into that. And we don't want that here. We're trying to set a precedent.
Now, one thing I'm going to try to ask, and I've been very lenient in one aspect for how I normally am, and that is if we can try to maintain late night language. I understand it's late night and it's there, and it isn't that I'm prudish or these kind of stuff when it comes to language. Is I understand that when certain languages are used, it can be easily flipped. And when it's easily flipped, it's almost like the N-word. Some say the N-word is a sign of endearment, but when people are arguing, they're using it. So it's like, oh, okay. So by just allowing it, it allows people a back door to indirectly affect certain people. And today that was demonstrated in one aspect with the comment about, the coon and so forth. But also over that colorful language, I will ask the panel if we can try not to, on this panel, do that, because that also is a legacy of what other panels do casually. Yeah. And if possible, that's the request from here. That's something that I've pretty much been quite consistent with on my own personal stuff outside of the internet, just for the reasons that I've observed. If possible, that's what I'm pushing forward as well. That's quite helpful.
Can I just say that, like, when you say that I'm able to handle myself, and I can do verbal combat with the average man, yeah, and just leave a carcass at the end.
Very
but
true.
I'm getting too old to do that. And when you know better, you do better. Yeah. Yeah. There's a certain way I want to move and behave because I'm too old. I can't be online arguing with a bloody computer screen.
Right.
I need to a man that is not my husband, not my father. It doesn't even exist when I close the computer. And I would ask you not to judge me and how I'm able to be combative and handle myself. Not all women are like that.
No, definitely not basis debate, and you're correct in this, right? And I've never thought that you can take on a whole plethora of people and these kind of stuff. What I would say is it's very evident when you look at Black people that there is in some communities a breakdown of understanding, and within the sexes, somewhere along the line something was lost. Now, I'm someone who's realized it, and I'm trying to find solutions. So in that aspect, I'm charging men to be responsible and giving the leeway to women in this dynamic. Yeah, so we can actually really break down what is happening, what are we missing, why is certain communications completely missed, and you have articulated that you're not comfortable, and to be honest, there isn't really a place for that on this kind of platform of people that's arguing about certain things. And I apologize if I missed anything, and I might miss in the future. I'm going to look out for stuff, but there is a learning experience, and this is all we can do. Really, it's a step-by-step process. We have to always remember where we started. Like we started, somewhere else, and we're moving forward. That's how I always see it.
Yeah, I mean, Betty's gonna have her own views on it because she was in that. Do you know what I mean? When it happened, and she was involved in it, and it was between her and the brother that it was involved with. I think,
Mm.
like I said, to me, you have demonstrated that I personally don't believe that was your intention. And I think the fact that the following conversation that happened after that was a chance for every woman that was there who listened to it could come on and talk their truth into that. And I think that was a good thing to do. But as I said, I just think like you said about the certain words and things like that, which you said before this happened with Betty, before this conversation has happened, that you wanted to conduct it in a certain way where certain standards was upheld. And I just think it goes to show, because this whole topic on who decides what a black woman is kind of got lost, and it got lost into the conversation of, is it good to say a coon, and and all of that. So I think if we just try and stay on topic with things, and that goes for everyone, and stick to the channel owner's code, which is, if he doesn't want anyone swearing on there, you just don't swear on his panel. If he doesn't want you using certain words like that, you just don't do it. And if you're not capable of doing it, then that's why you need mods, and that's why you have to use discernment to just shut it down, because then it just becomes a free for all, and then what becomes the limit,
Yeah.
But Kushi, you know what you're saying in terms of, like, I don't consider discussing the word coon as going off topic, because what you may find offensive as a black woman, I might not find offensive, and vice versa. Yeah. I have a certain code. Yeah. Like using racial epithets, yeah, to dehumanize other black people it don't go on with me. I'm not even going to listen to you. The minute I hear that out of your mouth, I know straight away that you're not trying to build no solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
What you're trying to do is strip down the other black person. So you want black people to be homogenous. You don't want any diversity. Yeah. And then you want to use the white man's racist term to dehumanize another person that you claim to be a brother and sister. Yeah. Now, all this, when you start saying that it's going off topic, you feel like it's going off topic. But I think one of the reasons why it's going off topic is because the men are on the panel. If you're trying to uplift black women. The men don't need to be on the panel. That's my opinion.
Here's what I've offered, Sister Betty. Hold on, Sister Kushi. I've offered that in the starting process, I will put the link out and everyone can join. And women can jump on, and women have first, in everything, in these kind of topics. And if you feel a certain way, you can always ask, and I can always just remove for the time being. What is going to happen? So you have to have fast sight when you have these shows. Right now, there's a disconnect between black men and black women in some areas, right? And any man who agrees with certain women or tries to correlate with women, he's going to be in some opposite somewhere. So what I'm saying is, by all means, let's have these dialogues. Let's talk. And if you need any kind of assistance, let me know, because I might miss stuff. But then I will then have directed, dedicated conversations with black men to unpack what is happening, so I can actually try to help them actually, correlate better with black women, those who are struggling, that is, right? But I think what Sister Kushi was saying is, I understand what you're saying, Sister Big, but I think you're saying is sometimes we have a topic, and sometimes we might go off it, and that is something that we want to work on, because whatever we go off on, it is in itself a new topic that we might be able to plan for another time when we can get a full 2 hours on that particular topic. So that topic might be name calling black women, or black people, or black women, however you want to say it, and that is actually a good topic, and that's something that we should do.
Well, Raven, it says decide what a black woman wants. Does a black woman wants to get married? If there's a black man on the panel calling black women coons, that is misogyny, the hatred of black women. So how is that not part of the topic? That man can come on onto the show and start insulting black women. He didn't call black men coons. He only called black men coons towards the end when he was challenged by me and then the other brother.
Hold on, Sister Babe, and I could be wrong, and we have to go back on the video. And remember, this interpretation is very important, because it really does, decide how a person processes information. And what I interpret, and I could be wrong on this, is he was saying that any black person who doesn't correlate with those ideals, that person, male or female, would then be labeled the word he used. Um, I didn't see him. I never interpreted that as he was talking directly to women, although he did say if a black woman. But that's how I got it. And one thing I would say is, and this is difference of approach. We have to understand this. Not all people talk in more like grand terms. Some people practice discernment in people groups. So there are women who might be a certain way, and women who might be a non-certain way, and the focus is the women who are not certain way. But that doesn't undermine the women who are a certain way. And this is the challenge of communication that I'm hoping we can rectify, so we understand that we're talking about particular sectors of people. But this is the challenge, Sister Bay. This is the challenge.
Yeah, we're gonna have to agree to disagree, because that guy came on and started calling black women coons. He didn't call black men coons until towards the end. So for you to say that, oh, this is going off topic, and oh, do you know what I mean? If you're here to uplift black women, and you care about black women's opinion, I don't see how any man can come on and start insulting black women and start calling them coons. I noticed that he didn't call the black men coons when he came on, and he continued to do it. This is non-productive behavior. From what I remember, you got that whole code words that you should use. So I'm not too sure why someone on your platform is using that term.
Sister Bay, you are correct in everything you've just said, and for your correctness, I thank you. But may I ask you a direct question? Have you swore on this panel, Sister Bay, today?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I'm saying is, some might ask, if I'm going to go at him for saying that, should I not then also go at yourself similarly? If we're talking about using the codes of conduct and words and stuff like this.
You have every right to do what you want on your platform, Raven. I'm not your mother and I'm not your wife.
Yes.
You are your own man.
That's right.
So what I'm saying is, you do not uphold the standards that you claim to represent.
Thank you. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to learn through experience. And what I mean by that is, some people come with their own personalities, their own histories, and sometimes understanding certain new ideas might be most challenging. And I always try to lead very softly. But sometimes there are multiple people doing multiple things at two times. So then a lot is lost. But what I would say is, before the show even started, this has been how I've always operated everywhere, that we don't use derogative terms. And the reason we don't use derogative terms is because, unfortunately, Sister Bay, as I was saying in the beginning of the show, and I'll show you just now, just to make sure I will start the show like this, just so you can see it. Is this it? Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong one now. There we go. It's here. Yeah, unfortunately, this is how I start all my shows. After much research, I have unfortunately concluded that currently Black people are collectively inadequate. And because of that truth, I have to try to present myself in a way that where things can be absorbed and learned from. But when you have multiple people with multiple different speaking differences, breaking the code slightly here and there, it does become challenging. But when we realize a challenge, we try to find solutions. So one of the solutions I'm pushing forward is, as a woman, when it's a woman topic, you have the right to call me and the right to turn anyone off, so we can actually just have a nice conversation. And what will happen is, at the end of these kind of conversations, there will be a swapping of roles where all the men will jump on. And then as a man, I will try to get across my learnings of how I interacted with the sisters to try to, so we have a better understanding. But we're trying to learn from challenges that present themselves and have solutions to each step. So right now, you are correct in everything you're saying.
Okay. So what I can say is, thank you for letting me on, and thank you for giving Black women a platform to discuss the issues for solidarity and stuff like that. But yeah, I wish you well on your platform and stuff. But for me personally, I don't want to be part of something when Black men are coming on calling Black women coons, Black men are insulting and shouting at women, and women are too afraid to come on and stuff like that. I can't do that. And I don't see the point in having conversations about women and wanting women to feel comfortable coming on. And then you got all these men on the panel. Do you know what I mean? I don't think me and you, our ideology, I think there's considerable differences. But I wish you well on your platform, Raven. And it was lovely speaking to Kushton, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Sister Bay. It was much appreciated. And what I would say to all the women out there is, if you do correlate with what Sister Betty is saying, by all means, you can always request a certain time where it's just women, and for whatever reason. And this has never been a historical challenge, having a space just for women. It's something that I push in many avenues I do. And if you feel that might be a better solution, please articulate that. One of the things is I have to talk to men directly about certain things they are doing, but one of the hard truths as well is I have to do things to some of the sisters that they're not doing, and realize that they have power to articulate certain stuff. So if ever there is a request for certain things, this can be done, but it must be requested. If that makes sense, Sister Kushti.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I just, yeah, definitely. And going forward, I just think we should all just try and stick to your set the president. You've set the president now, and clearly, if one thing goes out, then it gets complicated and twisted. And I just think that's why we need to. You've got your rules to say, and we should just probably just make sure that we adhere to it.
What I'll do next week as well is I'll actually include it in the intro about I use discernment, but I'll put examples, just because unfortunately sometimes, as you see on the screen, Black people are collectively inadequate, and because of this sometimes you might have to go backwards to go forwards. So what I'm going to do to help is actually place some of the actual words and lingos that we use casually in our day-to-day, and say that these kind of words might be problematic on this particular forum because we are collectively inadequate. And when we learn that and we become collectively adequate, then we can just maybe remove it. Always keep it there as a reminder, but generally that's what I might have to do. But keep reminding that women in women topics, or just in general, always have the right to claim a women's panel, which I will uphold, because I understand that as a collectively inadequate people, our males and females have very challenging difficulties communicating at times. So this has to be one of the early solutions.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And as you said, this is, you're starting from kind of like scratches. There's not really much of a template to do something like this. Other shows don't tend to do this that I know. It's quite a rarity. So, you are only human, and you do give an ear to everybody. And that can maybe sometimes get perceived in a certain way. And I just think as long as you're willing to, listen, as you had done to Sister Betty in the dialogue back and forth. I cannot speak for Betty. I wasn't the one who was in the argument with him, and I cannot speak for you and your panel and the position it put you in. I'm just giving some advice from what I've seen and what I'd like to see from this panel going forward. And I just think it just needs to you need to have a militant regiment, which you've got there, and we all need to stick to it. I definitely think you need a mod on air as well.
When you say mod, do you mean the digital mod who handles the texts and stuff? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh, I don't know much about that, so you might have to school me on that. I've never really had the, but yeah, we might have to. But even in them, there's a challenge, because I've seen mods who might start modding everyone and muting everyone and these kinds of things. So everything has to be codified. You see, every new element takes much effort, but it should be done, because that's one of the ways to guarantee betterment, by taking more time. So yeah, great. I'll have to talk about how that's done and who that would be. But then I will need people to be consistently turn up at the same time to make sure they can do it. That what we might find our first challenge, to have people turn up on time to do a particular act. But yes, it is on the rope, so we should definitely do that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Excellent.
Definitely. This is going to happen, isn't it? We're not all going to agree on everything. I didn't agree everything of what Brother Cal said. I didn't agree on it, and there's some things I did agree with, and that's going to happen. If you're going to have a dialogue with a big diaspora such as ours, and the fractions in our, it's going to happen. It's just about how you deal with it, and that's the biggest thing that comes from it. So
this show is Betterment, meaning doing better. So there's always going to be challenges, and I'm very impressed with how everyone's handled information and try to find solutions. And everyone is always welcome to come back. And we have respect for everyone who's been on here, because it takes a lot to come online. So thank you very much, Sister Kushi. I'm going to have to end it now, because we've gone a whole hour, which is, but it's necessary because it's learnings. And yeah, hopefully next week it will still be Black Women's Week. So hopefully other Black women can jump on. And by all means, Black women, if you do not want men there, just give the order. It could be privately or it could be just out loud, and I shall execute that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That's up.
See ya. Bye, everyone.